G'day folks and welcome to the Vookcast, Australia's Nintendo podcast. My name's Oliver Brandt and in this episode I'm joined by Angelo Valdivia,
Hey, paisanos.
Michael Goncalves,
Hey, team.
and Luke Henderson.
Hello there.
So we weren't actually planning on recording again until after the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, but Nintendo threw us a curveball and gave us a full-ass regular Nintendo Direct for Switch 1 games, so
And it's
we're
fun
mostly
laughable
going to
that
discuss it.
even when we plan podcasts around directs, a surprise direct happens and we have to do this.
Yeah. So yeah, we're just gonna jump straight into it because there is a lot to get through today. So there was a half-hour Nintendo Direct, and there were like 28 games featured in the Direct, and like a couple of interesting, weird new things as well. So we'll start it off.
I want to say this was also the first full Direct we'd had since June last year.
Yeah.
So it's been a while since we've had a proper and regular Direct.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll kick it off with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. So this was our first proper Metroid Prime 4 trailer. It actually showed gameplay and, gave us details about the game. So it takes place on a new planet called Vuros. Samus is responding to an event with the Federation and encounters Psylocke. Things happen, and she ends up on the new planet. She also gets psychic powers, which lets her control doors and levers and adjust the path of her shots. And as Luke has written here, just like the movie Wanted, although without Angelina Jolie. Now we don't know that yet because we don't know who's voicing Samus in Metroid Prime 4. It could be Angelina Jolie. We'll have to wait and see on that.
I think people would lose their damn minds if for some reason Angelina Jolie was voicing Samus Aran.
Yeah. But the game is still dated for 2025. We don't have a specific release date yet. I imagine that will happen once the Switch 2 is properly
Dated.
shown off. Yeah. But yeah, I thought this looked really, really good. I like that they started off the trailer instead of showing us a bunch of combat shit, like with focusing on how important scanning stuff is, because I feel like that's a bigger part of a Metroid Prime game than combat. But then when they did show the combat,
Just a
Yeah,
sweet
go on.
Professor X,
Yeah.
hand to
Every
visor.
time she's like,
scan,
scan
I'm like,
this.
sick.
Scan this.
But it's on the visor, not even on her temple either. So how psychic
Yeah.
is it really?
I think that's like a sick animation. But no, when they did show the combat, it did look sort of like a little bit faster paced, and it looked quite good.
I don't think I've
yeah.
seen a smoother looking Switch game in a long time. Like, it looked very fluid.
But yeah, it looks really cool. Samus has a new suit that makes her look like Iron Man, which, also fun. Yeah, I think it's looking really good. They did a lot of what are supposed to be teasers, but because nobody's played the game, don't really make sense. They're like, oh, what's this? And I was like, nobody knows this. It's been like fucking 15 years since the last Prime game, so who knows?
18. It's been 18 years. A full adult ago.
Yeah, that's a uncomfortable way to put it. A full adult ago. Somebody born when Metroid Prime 3 came out is now an adult. That's wild.
Mhm.
But yeah, so what do we think? What do we think of Prime 4?
I think it was important that they made the bullet point in the presentation that the psychic powers let her control doors and levers.
Yeah. I mean,
It's such a revolutionary thing, right? Like, in normal games, you press a button to open a door. In Metroid games, you shoot the door. Now, in this game, you use psychic controls. I love how, we went from using controls in Prime 1 to using motion controls in Prime 3. And now, in Prime 4, she's using the controller to do motion controls to open doors. It's like, what a weird, swirly way of screwing with motion controls.
You wait for Switch 2, one of the accessories will be a helmet that you wear, and you literally use your mind to do it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we'll use the vitality sensor to actually do the psychic finger thingy on our heads.
uh,
But
I think
looks
it's
cool.
sick.
I'm
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Like, I am so hyped for this. This looks incredible. I think it looks good on Switch. Like, if it is coming out on Switch 2, which that would be fucking weird if it's not. Like, it's only going to look better. I'm very excited to see what it actually finally looks like.
Yeah.
Imagine if on the box it says Switch 1 only.
Oh my god.
Imagine that.
Look, if this was Switch 1 only, this would be a hell of a game to end the Switch 1.
True, it would be.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know there's other games and we'll talk about them later, but for most people, for most diehard fans, this will probably be their last Switch 1 game before they dive into Switch 2 fully. So,
Yeah.
I
Although,
think,
yeah,
like, just obviously, sorry, it is like, obviously we're just looking at a video, but it looks reasonably high res. It looks like a locked 60 in that video. Like, I couldn't see any type of like weird hiccups in it. It looks like it's looking and performing great. And from the short bit of the gameplay that we got, it looks like it's gonna be pretty fun. So very
That's it,
excited.
right? Like I'm genuinely curious. Like I'm sure. I mean, I can't say I'm sure, but it's. I don't know how likely it is that Nintendo's pulling a fast one on us, and this is actually running on either PC hardware or a Switch 2 itself. But this
That would
does
suck
look.
if that's what they're doing.
But this does look suspiciously too good on a Switch. Now,
Yeah,
granted,
I
like, the
understand what you
environments seem
mean.
relatively
I think-
small.
I think we've been beaten
So-
down too much by Pokemon games.
Well, yeah, right. But like, I mean, Retro Studios does really, really great work with their art and with their engine. So, you know, I don't have my doubts against them necessarily. But I just look at this and I'm just like, I don't know, man. I've looked at Switch games for the last 8 years.
Yeah, if this is
Yeah.
Doesn't
not
look like-
running on Switch 1, that's pretty poor form.
Mm.
I think it probably is running on Switch 1, and I think, I don't know, the amount of times throughout the last 8 years we've looked at, especially the last like 4 years, we've looked at a game and been like, this looks way too good for original Switch. This has to be a Switch Pro or whatever, right? And then it's just been on Switch 1. Like that's happened a bunch of times. Like, you know, notably with like Tears of the Kingdom. You know, there's been a few of them. So I think this is just like, I would be shocked if like less than 95% of the code base isn't shared with Metroid Prime 1 Remastered. I think that is 100% what Metroid Prime 1 Remastered is. I think it's just updating the engine that they use internally to, you know, they basically just took Metroid Prime 1, updated it to the newest version of their internal engine,
Mm-hmm.
and then built Prime 4 on top of that, using a lot of the stuff that they already had from Prime 1 through 3.
I mean, when I saw this trailer the other day, like it gave me big Halo 4 vibes, like the leap in quality from Halo 3 to Halo 4, and that was the same generation. Granted, that was 5 years difference in development. There were other Halo games in between as well, so there was a gradual change, but it was a mostly like somewhat of a different studio that made the flip. But like the engine overhaul in that was quite a huge leap. And while this one may not necessarily be as big of a leap, yeah, looking at it, like it just like everything that's happening in it just looks so, I don't know, unexpected from a Switch game to me. Like I look at this, I'm like, I can't believe that a Switch is running this.
Yeah, totally.
But it must be, right? You
Yeah.
think that it is. So
I would
I
be
just can't wait to play
very
it.
surprised if they're doing what you said, like doing like weird switch out, pun intended. But yeah, impressive if it's on Switch 1. Like super impressive.
I mean,
Yep.
Nintendo have never been that sort of company where they like, you know, the bullshot, you know, company where they
Mhm.
show off something and it's not actual gameplay. Like we see it all the time. We see their trailers come out and we're like, this kind of looks bad. We saw it with like some early
Totally.
Paper Mario. We see it all the time with Pokemon. We saw it with Luigi's Mansion 3. Their first trailers weren't great, but by the time that game released, it was phenomenal. So
Yeah.
we've seen it enough where I would just be like, yeah, they've had years to work on this. We know Retro's been working on this since 2019, so because that's when development restarted. So they've had enough time that I could see them, you know, eking out all the performance because they know the tricks they need to know. So
And everything looks pretty like not huge open spaces either. Like it isn't like it's
Yeah.
a massive open world that is going to tank performance. Like the biggest thing that I think was in the trailer is like a largish arena. It's not like super massive. Other
Yeah.
than that, it's like corridors and like closed rooms. So,
And all of the
which-
environments and things, like it looks a lot of
Mm.
sky, like a lot of really greatly drawn skyboxes, and even the lighting seems baked in and everything. So I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of dynamic stuff happening in here, which
it
is
looks like
fine.
some of the all the enemy models and Samus herself have like proper shadows, which is nice and weirdly rare in a Switch game. So yeah, they're doing amazing work.
The
Yeah.
only downside to this Metroid news is that they didn't shadow drop Metroid Prime Remastered 2 and 3.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that was ever going to happen.
I know, but it's like, not knowing Nintendo, they would have done Metroid Other M first.
I mean,
Oh,
if
man.
anything, like, I don't know. I played 1 a whole lot when I was a teenager. I played 2 once, and then I played 3 quite a bit when that came out on Wii. And I feel like after having done the remaster of 1, the one that should come out of those 3 the most is probably 3 leading up to this one, because that's when they introduced the hunters. Well, they didn't introduce them, right? They were in Metroid
Or
Prime
in the
Hunters.
DS game, but yeah.
But like the hunters play a prominent role in the story of 3, right? Because everything's going terribly, the Federation is involved, then we see all the hunters come in, and the fact that we're fighting Psylocke, as everyone likes to remind themselves. Like he as a character, like the hunters as characters, the hunters are quite prominent in 3, and having 1 here seemingly be one of the antagonists, I'd imagine it'd be one of them rather than the main one. Yeah, I feel like that's probably
It'd be like
would
if
have been a smart choice.
Yeah, it'd be like if we had a Mario game released this year and Newt was the main villain. Like nobody really knows who Newt is anymore. So
Yeah.
Or what?
what did I say Newt for then?
I was
but,
yeah, okay.
but yeah, so the Super Mario Brothers 2, final boss. So
Yeah.
Anyway, we can't dwell on this because there's a shit ton more to get through.
I want to dwell on it though.
I know it would be really nice to dwell on it, but like this is probably going to be a 2-hour episode as is, and then like in less than a week we're going to be recording another fucking 3-hour long episode. So
It's gonna be so long. If we did almost 2 hours on that 2-minute 22-second trailer, we're so fucked.
Yeah. Alrighty. So a couple of PlayStation games are coming to Switch. We've got Patapon 1 and 2 and a new Everybody's Golf game, Everybody's Golf Hot Shots, both coming to Switch. So the Everybody's Golf Hot Shots is a brand new game, single player mode, 4-player online, local mode called Wacky Golf. It looks very fun. Patapon 1+2 Replay are remastered versions of the PSP games. They have new difficulty options as well as gameplay adjustment settings, etc. With these 2 series now on Switch, and that brings the Sony IP up to 5 by Luke's count, with the Horizon, which we got the Lego version of, Freedom Wars, MLB The Show, Everybody's Golf, and Patapon. There's also a couple others that are technically Sony IP because they're published by Sony Music, but that is a separate thing altogether. Xbox is also bringing the games to Switch. It's pretty wild how there's a non-zero possibility that the Switch 2 Direct will feature games from both PlayStation and Xbox. But
What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
what I love about these is that Bandai Namco are doing them. So Bandai Namco are creating Everybody's Golf, which the original game was created by Camelot, which created Mario Golf, and then PlayStation were like, we like that, let's have one of our own. So they went to Camelot and said, hey, can you make us a golf game without Mario? And they basically just remade Mario Golf, but without the Nintendo element. So even the controls were the same. So Bandai Namco are making this new version, but they also did the Freedom Wars remaster earlier in the year, which was a PlayStation Vita game. So this is the same thing that Microsoft did in the GBA and DS era, where they put Zoo Tycoon and all that stuff on Nintendo hardware, and all the rare stuff. But THQ did the publishing. So it's just one of those weird things where they're like using a loophole, but it's like, we know it's a Sony product. You could just publish it. It's fine. So, yeah.
Yeah. The previous developer of this was a company called Clap Hands, and they actually have a game on Switch too, a golf game. It's called Easy Come Easy Golf, and it's basically everybody's golf. What's wrong?
Sorry,
Michael?
Michael pulled a face. I don't...
Fucking, fuck you,
Was it
Angelo.
clap hand? Was it clap
I
hand? Was that-
smiled slightly, and then Angelo was like, "What do you mean? What do you mean, face?" And I'm like, "Don't start this."
But yeah, if you want to play Everybody's Golf without playing Everybody's Golf, you can also play Easy Come Easy Golf from Clap Hands.
If you want to play a weird golf game on Switch too, there's one that requires you to like dangle a Joy-Con between your legs to putt. So
It's true.
it's like
But yeah,
their video on the eShop is like 11 minutes long because it essentially tells you how to play the game.
Angelo, tell us about Patapon.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Patapon was an incredible series on the PSP. I think they did get re-released on the PS4, mid 2010s sometime. But they're basically rhythm games where you get these little funny looking dudes, these little tribal dudes named Patapon. You kind of start out with a couple, and then you've got this one guy who's holding like a banner for your clan, and someone else is just playing a drum, and you press the different face buttons to play these different beat patterns, which give your Patapon different commands. You do attack
The
commands,
legendary
you can
drum.
There you go, yeah. And then you can, press forward and all these kinds of things. And yeah, so that's basically what you're doing is you're playing this little rhythm game, and the whole point is to keep this momentum going and not skip a beat basically until you can like get fever mode, and then like you attack stronger and you just get all this like build up and everything. Yeah, they're just really visually striking as well. They're really beautiful, artistically made games. But yeah, they were exclusive to the PSP at the time. And it was perfect for on-the-go gaming because the levels were quite short. The boss battles get quite difficult though, so there is a little bit of like, going back, getting stronger, just keep trying to take down this boss. But yeah, the exciting thing now is that 1 and 2 are coming to the Switch. Interesting that they're not including 3. I'm not sure why they're not including that in this package, but whatever. We've got 2 great Patapon games. But also interestingly, a little while ago, we also got an announcement that there's a spiritual successor called Ratatan that's coming to Switch as well. So we're basically going to have 3 Patapon games soon on this system, which I'm very, very keen on. Anyone who likes rhythm games and just fun little, I don't know. I don't even know what else you would kind of call this game. It's not really a strategy game.
Like,
Yeah,
I think this is just like peak 2000s rhythm game, pretty much.
Sure. It's definitely of that era when the PSP was just this experimental little console, kind of like the DS in a sense, but I'd say even more so on the PSP, where we also had beautifully artistic games like Loco Roco and that ilk, just really interesting, somewhat iconic portable games that you could only get on the PSP. Yeah, it'd be great if someday we got a Loco Roco. Like, holy crap, that'd be incredible too.
And the remake's pretty cheap. It's like what, like $49? That's it's awesome.
What's cool for this one too is that they've added difficulty levels to the game. So if you do struggle with rhythm games, there is an easier mode. There's also a harder mode if you really like a challenge. But you can also adjust the input timing. So if you're not quite quick enough, you can actually adjust the timing so it gives you a bit more of a I can't even think of the word I'm trying to say. But it gives you just more of a grace period in your button presses.
Yeah, I think they'll need to, because like obviously when this was on PSP, the entire environment is closed, so you know the exact latency that everything has. But with people playing on TV, that's a shit show. So
yeah.
Well, there's TV is like your specific environment with a wireless controller as well.
Yeah,
what
100%.
controller you're using, whether like there's a latency difference between like Joy-Cons and the Pro controller.
But also just the game can be, or at least the original could be unforgiving. Like just your attention drops all of a sudden. Like, your mum's calling you for dinner and you're just shouting back at her and suddenly you're out of fever mode. And you're just dead at that point. Just give up. What are you even doing?
Too real.
Say,
that's a very specific, real example for you, Angelo.
It was too real, my brother. It was too real.
I did love in the direct because obviously in the direct they have the guy who narrates everything, and he's like, oh, he's talking about the game. He goes, pon, patter, pon. It's like, no, don't say it that way. It just sounded so wrong. So
anyway, talking about classic rhythm game series, we are getting a new Rhythm Heaven game. So this is one of the more exciting announcements from the direct. So the last entry in the Rhythm Heaven series, also known as the Rhythm Paradise series, depending on where you are in the world, was in October 2016. One of the last games on the 3DS before the Switch launched. And we're getting another one, which is probably going to be one of the last games on the Switch, which is nice.
Well, hang on. Just Dance will probably keep it going for another 7 years, like they did on the Wii. So.
True.
But look at his
well,
sad
I
little
mean-
face. I just want to hug him.
Anyway, yeah. So Rhythm Heaven Groove is the new game. It's Rhythm Heaven. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I didn't write a lot because it's like you can't write a lot about
You
Rhythm
can't really
Heaven.
write a lot about it. Like it's
Well, we weren't really given much in this one either. All we were told
True.
is that Rhythm Heaven's coming, and they showed us like this little tutorial level, and that was really about it.
Yeah,
I mean, what else
I
do
do-
we really need to know? Ultimately,
I do like the fact that they do show you pressing a button, which means it's not forced motion controls like the Wii one had. Some weird motion control modes. So
Also
the thing
love
that
that they showed the player like doing the beat with the
Yeah,
controller.
We're all gonna do that, man. We're all doing it. But
Yeah.
the thing that what I'm interested in about with the controls is that like with the DS ones, which is the ones that I mostly played, like playing with a touchscreen was really interesting for a rhythm game, because you're tapping along and things like that, and even flicking the stylus at times. But like on here, like if it is just button controls, then it's gonna be fine. I mean, we're just talking about Patapon, which is only going to be button controls. But the thing that was interesting to me about Rhythm Heaven was that it had some other sort of fun ways to control the mini games that were involved. But
Yeah.
no, I can't believe that we got two really big rhythm game series getting a bit of a revival in one direct. Like that's
It's back, baby.
yeah,
Guitar
I'm
Hero
is
so happy.
Got to be announced at the Switch 2 presentation.
Donkey Kong before.
I was talking with
Oh
one of
my
my
god,
friends. And
Luke!
it was like,
Don't even tease me.
talking with one of my friends, and it'd be like, "Oh, did you really nice that Rhythm Heaven came back?" And then like earlier in the direct, like Patapon came up and was like, "Oh, well, I mean, like that's not Rhythm Heaven, but like it's still good. Like it's not quite the same thing, but can't complain. It's a rhythm game." And then like 10 minutes later, actual Rhythm Heaven comes up on the screen.
When it first popped up, I honestly just assumed it was going to be like a collection of games, like the 3DS Mega Mix, I think it was called, like Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix. That was just like a collection of the other ones brought over, and that would have been fine. I would have been happy with a HD version of Rhythm Heaven. So the fact that it's an all new game, and the thing that's really cool is the guy who did all the music for all the other games is doing all the music for this game as well. So it's not one of these ones where like somebody's like, "Oh, I've gone to Nintendo because I think I can make a good Rhythm Heaven game." It's like, no, the guy who did the music and produced the series previously is doing it again. So
I just noticed
Well,
there's an error in the article. It says it's coming out in 2025, but unfortunately, it is not coming out in
it's next year.
2025.
2026.
But like we haven't got it in the run order here. But the other interesting rhythm game announcement was Rift of the Necro Dancer as well. So we got like
Oh, totally. Yeah, I forgot about
we got
that.
we got three rhythm games all announced in one direct, and that was shadow dropped as well.
Yeah.
Which is extremely cool.
The
So-
people crave the rhythm.
absolutely. So I
think
this is the thing, right?
The thing about
This is the
that
thing-
is that it was just like briefly,
No, no.
like I think the reason that it's not like a bigger deal is because it was announced previously to be coming to Switch. So like
oh, I missed that.
not
Okay.
that huge. Yeah, it was in an indie world like a year ago.
yeah,
I
they
think it
did an Indie
actually
World in
was
August.
announced during an indie world, right? The actual game itself.
Yeah, it was announced in the Indie World last year. Launched in early access on PC back end of January, I think it was.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, go on.
I was just gonna say that I'm just really excited about this prospect because for me personally, I always really enjoyed rhythm games more than music games, which is kind of a weird thing to say. Like I look at things like Rock Band and Guitar Hero, like they were fun, but what makes them more fun is playing them in a social context, like when you're just sitting there
Yeah.
in your room, like cranking out, the hardest damn guitar songs or whatever. Like they're not, you're not really doing that for fun. You're kind of practicing at that point.
You kind of just zone out a bit. It's just yourself. But when somebody's ribbing you,
I mean, there is a float state there. There is something useful in doing that. But like when it comes to a rhythm game specifically, like I find that that's more of a challenge because you're playing these different sort of mini games and things. You're not just practicing just to get a high score necessarily. You're like kind of progressing in the game and finding fun ways to do things. But yeah, that's why I'm just really keen on these rhythm game announcements, particularly Patapon. I mean, this is great as well, but Patapon is also just that's not one that I ever expected to see on the Switch.
Nintendo, if you're listening, and I know you're probably not, Elite Beat Agents and Donkey Konga, please line them up.
Yes, Elite Beat Agents especially, that would be incredible. Could you imagine? Like,
I love that game. It's so good.
We would lose our minds.
Alrighty, moving on to something that I know that Luke is very excited for. It's a new game from his favorite series, Tomodachi Life. So Tomodachi Life Living the Dream is a new game. It is also coming out in 2026. We don't really know when. There's not a whole lot of details, but it kind of seems like an expanded version of what was on the 3DS. There's also, a new island vibes. It kind of is giving Animal Crossing New Horizons. It comes with the robo speech that the 3DS game was so well known for, and has an absolutely terrifying section where a giant woman comes up and screams in the face of a sleeping woman. So that's fun. Luke is not a fan of this.
A guy breakdancing as well, which was the highlight of the video.
a grandpa, because he had grey hair with the stripes to indicate he's bald.
And a lady pooting on a beach bench.
So yeah, Luke isn't a big fan of this, but I can understand why Nintendo did it. This was a surprisingly popular game on the 3DS. I think a lot of people, underestimate its popularity, but like this one game on 3DS was bigger, like sold more copies than the entire Metroid series up until that point. So if we're excited for Metroid Prime 4, boy, Tomodachi Life, that's an even bigger series.
Technically, it's not because it's only one game.
Well, it's two because there was a DS game in Japan, Tomodachi Collection. So, this is the third game in the series technically.
It's also kind of like a Miitomo was like a very basic version of this.
Yeah.
And for those who don't speak Japanese, Tomodachi in Japan is friend. The word is friend. So this is basically called Friend Life.
Yeah. See, I didn't play the Tomodachi games. I haven't played them before. And I look at this game, it actually kind of looks kind of fun as someone who hasn't touched this series before. And like even just hearing the dialogue, like the robo voice, I was watching this and I'm like, oh, so this is what an AI generated Sims game looks like, but it's made by people.
Yeah.
So it looks kind of just like a silly Sims game.
It is. That's essentially what it is. It's a life sim game where your little me guys just live their lives and you check in on them and give them stupid things to do.
Also, yeah, confirmed. Mies are back. Clearly a big way here.
They're back, baby.
20 years. Next year will be 20 years since Mies were a thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is actually the third most viewed trailer from the Direct after Pokemon and Metroid Prime 4. So people are clearly interested in this game.
I genuinely forgot Pokemon was in the trailer. Like, I'm not even joking. I just think I just blanked that from my mind.
That's the thing, right? It's like I look at this game and I'm like, oh, this looks like fun. It could be a silly time, but yeah, I don't understand like the phenomenal appeal of this game. It's interesting. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just like I just genuinely don't understand it. Like I'm keen to give it a try and find out for myself.
It's one of those things where it became really popular on YouTube because you can make them say silly things. So there's like a whole generation of like, and obviously the last game was like, 9 years ago. So a lot of people in their formative years are now interested in this. It's very much one of those like, Tomodachi Life fan excited to play Tomodachi Life for the first time kind of games. So
It also had the thing, especially on the 3DS, where you could import Mii's of other people. So I know people did Reggie Fils-Aimé a lot, and Jackie Chan and Van Damme and all that. So you had like Jackie Chan having a conversation with Reggie Fils-Aimé, and they'd say just the most bananas shit, which drew a lot of people in. So
yeah. So yeah, that's coming out at some point next year. I'm sure we'll see plenty more of it in the future. So yeah, onto some non-game announcements. This was a little bit weird. So they actually ended the direct with this Nintendo Today kind of announcement. Well, kind of. Yeah, they ended it with this, and it kind of, I don't know. Miyamoto like stepped up and was like, "Hey, I've like some really big news for you about the future of directs." And we're like, "Oh no, they're just ending directs. That's bad."
Totally.
But no, it's not that at all. Directs are still going to happen as they usually have. But there's a new app called Nintendo Today, which is a news app, which brings, well, it's kind of more of a calendar app that just vaguely has news in it as well. So yeah, this is an app designed to deliver news directly to users. Which means that we hate it. Just go to www.vooks.net. But yeah, it is designed to bring news directly to users, which is nice. It has a calendar that shows off events that are coming up, like the Switch 2 Direct and stuff like that. It does currently have a bug where every event is set to end in the year 10,000. So once an event happens, it will always be on your calendar.
Nintendo knows.
That's an optimistic time.
Yeah. So yeah, there's like still, like, if you have it now, if you open it up on your calendar, there will be like a March 27 Nintendo Direct, which, okay.
It definitely seems like it's one of those things they put in for testing, and then somebody forgot to change before the app went live.
The end dates, yeah.
I mean, this app will be useful for game announcements and release dates specifically.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, so you can select series that you like as well, like Nintendo series that you like Mario, Kirby, Splatoon, whatever. So if you want to see that, you want news about those specific games, you can see that. But if you don't like other ones, you don't have to select them, and you won't really see much of that. But I mean, yeah, Luke's written here that the biggest concern is that, just some context here. It's been clear for some time that Nintendo kind of wants to detach itself from Twitter for obvious reasons. But that is, it's been its primary method of delivering timely updates for a decade now.
If this is the sacrifice I need to make for them to be off Twitter, I'll make it.
Exactly. So yeah, this is very clearly a big step in that. And we kind of know that it's working already because it was announced in the app that
like 12 hours after the app went live,
that the live action Zelda movie would be coming out in 2027. We got an exact release date for it via the app, exclusively via the app. They did not tweet about it until it went down. The app was so popular after that announcement happened that the servers went down, and then they announced, oh yeah, by the way, the servers are down. We're trying to get it back up. It's because we announced the release date, which is very funny. But the bigger concern here is that Nintendo takes hours to deliver notifications for Nintendo Music. So if something new gets added to Nintendo Music, it's usually not until like 5 or 6 hours later that we actually get a notification saying that's been added. So far, I have not gotten a single notification from Nintendo Today, despite having turned all the notifications on.
Which is really weird because, unless I'm misunderstanding how this works, I don't think they control what notifications go out, but they don't control the notification service itself. That's all like Google and Apple side. So I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah, I think they're just not sending anything to the push notification service, which I don't know why, if that's a bug or what, but we have not gotten any notifications so far, even when Zelda was announced. So your best bet so far is to just check at midnight every night, because that's when it gets refreshed in Australia, so that's fun.
My only concern with it, again, is that we'll have to keep checking constantly to see if there's any news. And I'm sort of at the point now where I don't want to keep checking my phone for random things throughout the day, and just adding this in. And don't get me wrong, I don't want them on Twitter. I think anyone who actively promotes Twitter now needs to have their head examined. But it's like there are other ways they could have done this as well. They've got their own website. We know that. We know their website, but they're also so inconsistent globally with how they deliver news. Like what we see come from Japan, at 11 a.m., for example, on a Tuesday, we won't see Australia do until 10 p.m. that night. So I don't know. Nintendo just needs to align all their shit together first before they start pushing everyone to one central app. I think it's not going to be great out the gate.
I somewhat agree with you, Luke, but I also think that Nintendo's been doing a lot of this kind of stuff, like particularly these type of news alerts on the Switch itself. When you turn on your Switch and then there's the notification thing, and then it has their news feed and stuff. Granted, a lot of that tends to be very eShop centric, like this game came out, or this bundle or whatever, or this deal. But I think this is kind of like a go-between in that regard. I will be disappointed if this does turn out to be oh, there's a Switch sale, go to the eShop and blah, 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 and just spend your money. I do hope that this is more of a an actual notice board of what Nintendo is up to. We'll see over time, over the next few months, how committed they are to doing this. And hopefully, the notification feature is a little more robust and actually is relevant and shows news as it comes. Yeah. That'd be great. But going just very, very quickly, I want to touch on the Zelda movie date announcement. I think it's interesting that we're hearing about that film, and that's great, don't get me wrong. But what's interesting is that we don't have any details or even a rough stadium ballpark time for when the next Mario movie is going to come out, when that has a post-credit scene specifically setting up a sequel, and we get a release date for the Zelda film, which is 2 years away. So how much further along is the Mario movie in that case?
Mario's 2026. We got that date a year ago.
Did we?
Yeah.
Am I an idiot?
I'm pretty sure we discussed it on the show too.
I guess
Really?
you are.
All right, Luke, cut that out from the episode, please.
Nope, keep that in, everybody.
Keep it in.
I can't believe you guys let me just ramble on like that.
Angelo is furiously Googling.
I am furiously Googling. April 3rd, 2026. Well,
That was fucking
There we
amazing. Maybe Angelo would have benefited if Nintendo had an app where it could send news out to him.
yeah. Maybe I'll download it right now. I already did download it. Is that? Let
Yeah.
me just see if that's even listed here in the app. Probably not. But
Probably not. What's interesting about the Zelda movie, especially, is that we know the director. What's his name? Wes Ball. So he directed all 3 Maze Runner movies for 20th Century Fox, and he also did Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes last year. What's really interesting is that we know the director. We know. I say we know, but according to all the reports out of Hollywood, there's still no script done. There's no cast announced, right? So we don't know, who's cast in the movie. They've not begun production, so it's kind of a rare thing for someone to announce a date for a Hollywood movie without production being started. Marvel and DC being the weird ones, because they like to say, "Oh, 6 years from now there'll be a new, superhero movie." So
If it's coming out next year, everything's done. Script is done, stuff's recorded.
2 years, so.
2 years.
Oh, is it 22?
Zelda.
Wait.
Zelda.
Oh, are you talking about Zelda? Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about Mario. My bad.
Gee, Michael, way to look
Carry
like
on.
an idiot on this podcast.
So the Mario movie has the same writers and the same directors as the first one. That
My
was all
bad.
confirmed last year. So they've already been, production for that has been ongoing. From my reading up on it, the voice work has been done as the temps, so they've all got all the lines in. They're now just focusing on the animation, and we'll do ADR later this year, I think.
Wait, you're talking
for
about the
next
Mario
year.
movie still? Or the
For
Zelda
Mario.
movie?
So Mario movie
Well,
is
Mario-
well into
Well, it has to-
production.
Well, that film has to almost be done at this point. They would just be doing any post work, right?
Yeah. So all the animation's essentially done. They're just doing all their renders now. That's
'cause
the
that
last
game
that I
cut-
heard. So
So that movie comes out in just over a year then. So April 3rd. So in 3 days it'll be a year away. And look, in the Nintendo app, there is no entry for April 3rd, 2026. So they're already dropping the ball on this one.
I tried loading up the app
Garbage
before
app.
and it crashed on launch, so that's a good
to
start.
be fair, the app's made in Japan, and the Mario movie took 6 or 7 weeks after the release for us. to arrive in Japan. So maybe scroll to like the end of May, and you might see that it's in the app. So,
But also the movie business is highly secretive. Just as much as games is a lot of the time. And when you've got Nintendo, which is a super conservative company as it is, they're probably keeping a lot of the production details like supremely under wraps at this point. Who knows how they're filming it, whether they're even shooting on location or doing some sort of virtual production where everything's in sound stages. Like everything's well under wraps, I'm sure.
that's the big thing with movies is we only ever find out things when either it leaks because somebody has to say the news, or they're on a location and some guy with a phone leans out his bedroom window in New York and goes, "Oh my god, they're filming this thing." That's how we find out about movie stuff, because
it's also, I reckon this film, unlike the Mario one, is unlikely to be star-studded. We'll see. They'll probably have like Ian McKellen playing Zelda or something like that. But like I'd imagine that like even the main actor for Link will be like some dude from some acting college or something like, or some acting school that no one's
It's going to be
ever heard
Tom
of yet.
Holland and Zendaya, guarantee it.
I mean,
I will-
there's also that too.
I will say, like, a small bit of app feedback for Nintendo, again, if they're not listening. I would like to know when I'm clicking on a news story if it's a fucking video or a website.
They're
Like,
all videos,
very-
man. It's
very
all
annoying.
videos.
Very fucking annoying.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, look at this news. Click it. It's a fucking video. I'm like, okay, can I read that, please? It's irritating.
It's an app for children, Michael. Children can't read yet.
Children don't have apps.
No, I think it's a cool
We
idea.
spent this much time on a fucking app. It's a calendar app.
when they talked
delivers
about
me
it,
a daily Pikmin.
my response to it, literally in the chat, was not another fucking app from Nintendo. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy that it's there because it means, if I load it up and I see a random cartoon that was only ever released in Japan that talked about Pikmin or Animal Crossing, whatever, like, that's cute and I'm fine with that. But it's like, if your whole thing is about it's delivering news, it's like, cool, make sure it's a news, like I can read it. If it's a video, fine, but as Michael said, tell me, what it is first. If it's a video for Switch 2 and I click on it and it's just the Joy-Con snapping in and a big 5 pops up and goes, 5 days to go. It's like, that's not news. I know what the date is. It's already in your calendar app. I don't need you to release a video every day counting down.
That just confirms that it's a replacement for Twitter, because Nintendo on Twitter has historically done countdowns where they posted like little short videos or like images or whatever to Twitter saying 3 days to go until Xenoblade Chronicles X comes out, and now they're just doing that in the app instead. So I think I think it is just a replacement for Twitter, which means we're just going to get like random shit that nobody cares about, but we're also going to get important announcements.
This is going to be on Switch too, I'm assuming. Like almost this exact thing.
I'm almost certain it's going to be replacing the
news channel,
completely unused news section on the Switch.
Look, I was really quite a fan of like what Nintendo did on the Wii with their calendar or Wii 24 Connect news thingamajiggy. How like there were just notifications that came up and just sent you little updates that way.
That was more reliable than this app, to be honest. So I actually got notifications on my Wii.
Yeah.
It was always exciting, especially in the early days when that blue light would pulse.
Oh, it's so good.
It was so... Oh, man.
What is it? And you
that was such a Star Trek feature.
And it's so bright. Cool. It's like a fucking laser going off in your room and it's all dark.
It was literally like one of the Guardians in Zelda, just pulsating in the corner.
And then they did the same thing with the Wii U, except in a more terrifying way, because just in the middle of the night, your gamepad would turn on and start like playing sounds at you.
Yeah, that was great.
They've got it somewhat on the Switch because Ring Fit Adventure has it. The little home button lights up. Not exactly the most impressive, but it's still there.
So that was how I found out that the home button lit up.
Yeah, because nobody knew because they had never used it before.
I was like, damn, they just installed a new LED in my Switch post-release.
Yeah. All right. So probably the biggest news of this Direct, which is kind of a weird one, is that Nintendo's introducing a new system called virtual game cards, which kind of changes how sharing digital Switch games works. So basically, you can opt to, and this is an optional thing, you have to opt into it. It's not just by default. It's not replacing the current system. If you still want to use the current system, you can do that. That's totally fine. But with this new system, you can opt in to change your digital games into virtual game cards, which lets you basically switch games between two consoles that you own, or lend out games to members of your family group. So you need internet to do either, but you don't need internet to play the game once you do it. So
That's the big benefit to this one over the
yeah.
Harry
So
system.
I'll do a little bit explaining in a little bit. But basically, you need to be if you want to lend a game to somebody in your family group, you do need to be in the same room as them. You need local communication to do that, so you can't just like be in a family group with someone in Switzerland because it gets you cheap NSO. You need to actually be in the same room, and you can lend them out a game for 2 weeks. It's auto returned to you at the end of that.
Sorry.
And they can choose to return at the same time. You can send out 3 games to up to 3 different people. Each person can only have 1 game at a time. But but the basic premise of it is right now there's a primary and secondary console system, where on your primary console, anybody can play your games, and then on your secondary system, only you can play your games, and you need an internet connection to do it. With the way that this new system works, that changes to a per game basis rather than a console-wide basis. So you can say that like the primary console for my copy of Xenoblade Chronicles X is going to be my Switch Lite, whereas the primary console for my copy of Splatoon 3 is going to be my Switch OLED. And then anybody on that console, on either of those consoles, can play those games, but not, the other games. So Nintendo has communicated this weirdly. There's a lot of fine details that we don't really know about and won't know about until the system is live. But that seems to be the basic premise of it. And again, you can lend out games to people in your family group, which, is quite good. I just heard myself from Michael's headphones.
Oh,
that was weird.
It's just because you like turned your head to the side and then it just beamed directly.
Became a speaker.
Yeah.
Switch games can go to Switch or Switch 2, so we do know that this will be a system that is compatible with the Switch 2. But Switch 2 games obviously can't be sent to Switch because, of course, they can't. That would be ridiculous. Although it would be very funny to see a Switch 2 game just like running at like 3 frames a second on a Switch 1.
You mean like a normal Switch game, am I right, boys? Okay.
All right, but yeah, this also includes what Nintendo is calling Switch 2 editions of Switch games. So if there's a Switch 2 edition, you can't send it back to the Switch 1.
So
now,
think about it as Gen 1 Pokemon to Gen 2 Pokemon between Pokemon Red and Blue and Gold and Silver. You can't send a Celebi back to Pokemon Red and Blue because that is a Gen 2 Pokemon. It's not compatible.
It's true.
I equated it to God of War.
Pikachu in Pokemon Gold and Silver, you can still send it back to Pokemon Red and Blue. So, anyway, the Switch 2
It's amazing
editions...
how many more people understand this now from that.
I equated it to God of War.
Yeah. The Switch 2 editions thing is kind of interesting because it tells us that not only will there be Switch 2 editions of games that are also on Switch 1, so that denotes either some sort of cross-generation releases or
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Plus.
Or upgrades, yeah. But I think it does suggest at least that there might be upgrade paths. We'll see. I would not put it beyond Nintendo to just offer, $80 full versions of games that were already on the Switch 1. But there is backwards compatibility regardless.
This wouldn't be anything new. They did it from the Wii to the Wii U. You could port your Wii software, your Wii Virtual Console across and play them in the Wii mode. But if you wanted to play them in the Wii U mode, you had to pay your extra $1.10 or whatever it was to buy the Wii U version.
They had that weird program where you could pay 30 cents or something, and then you got the upgrade or whatever. I bought a whole bunch of Virtual Console games that way. Anyway, digressing. Sorry.
Anyway. Some games can't be transferred. Mostly Nintendo Switch Online trial games and exclusive games, stuff like that. Also free apps like Fortnite or whatever, because like, why would you even need to? Like, they can just download that on their own console without you having to lend them the game. And yeah, the update is launching in late April for this on Switch.
Just in
and
time for the Switch 2 in May, baby.
And it will be on Switch 2 at launch. So
Well,
yeah,
we expect it to be on Switch 2.
no, it's been confirmed that it will be on Switch 2 at launch in the US.
That would
press
be
release.
the most peak Nintendo shit if this didn't launch on Switch 2.
Yeah. So yeah, this is optional. You can continue to use the old primary and secondary system, and there are reasons that you would want to do that. But for somebody like me who has Switch 2, has 2 Switches, not Switch 2. I wish I had Switch 2.
I'm sorry.
I have
Nintendo,
2 Switches.
police, lawyers, Poe, get on the podcast.
Luke, cut that out. Cut that out.
Bro's about to get swatted.
No. For someone like me who has 2 Switch consoles, I have a Lite and a regular. I actually have 3, but the third one doesn't get used.
No
yeah,
wonder you've only
I
got
have-
2 hands. You can't play 3 Switches with 2 hands.
Exactly. But basically, I have my Switch Lite, which is currently set to my primary, because I take that when I travel, when I go on planes or whatever. And then my Switch console at home, it's just a regular full Switch console, and that is set as my secondary. But that's kind of annoying because if my internet is down, then I need to like hotspot my phone or whatever, and like it just would be nice to be able to like set that as my primary, and then when I'm traveling, be like, yeah, I want to play this game while I'm on the plane, so I'll send that over to my Switch Lite, and then I don't have to worry about it.
Rich people problems, am I right?
Yeah.
I am so far from rich.
Says the
If you
guy
go in
with
a
3
school-
Switches.
What is interesting about it is for the whole second console system, it just makes more sense because when my niece got her Switch 2 years after the console launched, she didn't have any games, so my account was on her Switch, and she would play Mario Kart all the time and all that sort of stuff. But the moment I jumped on my Switch, which was the primary, it just kicked her out of the game. Like, no, primary console's in use, you can't play anything on this one now. I tended to get around that. If I knew she was playing, I'd put my Switch in flight mode, which would disconnect from the internet. I could play all my games locally without a problem. But it obviously wasn't a proper solution. So this gets around that. And again, it's not really a big issue because how many people have 2 Switch consoles with the same account that are going to be in use? But I think the fact that it turns every Switch console into a Blockbuster or a Video Easy, depending on where you're from, makes it probably more impressive.
This is 100% made for families, like straight
Yeah.
up. And like,
Yeah.
I don't hate it. Like, it could be better, sure. But like, this is definitely a step in the right direction. And I don't think anyone should be shitting on Nintendo for it.
I think
No,
if
absolutely.
they
The only complaint that I have about it is that it's just come so late in the time life
Yeah,
of
that's
the console.
fair.
That's the thing. I mean, like you said, I'm glad that they figured this out. It's just that, like, yeah, it would have been great if it was something that was figured out way earlier on, like, say, the pandemic when everyone was at home playing games.
Well, I mean, given the requirement to be in the same room as somebody to lend a game to them, I think maybe during the pandemic was the worst time to roll this out.
Sure, yeah, but like
But they
if you're a family,
yeah. But I mean, yeah, I think if they keep the current primary and secondary system on the Switch 2 and also have this new system, then that's kind of the best of both worlds because that is basically how every other console works, the current system. And this new one is kind of more akin, not exactly, but it's more akin to how something like Steam family sharing works. It's not exactly the same. People will be mad at me for saying that it's similar, but it is. I've said it online and had people mad at me already, so just before you do that, trust me, I've heard it all. But yeah, I think it's good for people with multiple Switches, and there's going to be a lot of people who, when the Switch 2 comes out, will suddenly be multiple Switch households that aren't currently. So getting ahead of that is a good idea. And yeah, for families, it's a really good idea. I think it solves a lot of problems. And I think just even the experience of treating a digital game like a physical game, in that like you can eject it and put it in another console, it just kind of logically makes sense. And I think that's going to be something that is like really key to simplifying the messaging on Switch 2, because there will be families and stuff, that, like, you know, this like whole digital rights management stuff is going to be wildly confusing otherwise. But saying like all of your digital games are just like your physical games, you can eject them and put them in another console, and that's fine. I think that will go a long way in smoothing some of the more prickly questions that people will have about Switch 2.
Yeah.
With a unified
My-
account system, which is the first time that Nintendo's really had a unified account system between generations. So,
My only issue with this is that they call it virtual game cards, and I've always assumed that it was called a Switch cartridge, like a Switch cart. But this says cards. It's like,
yeah,
are they?
it's always been game card.
I've always thought it was game cart because everything has been a cartridge. So it's like okay, maybe I've been wrong in calling them game carts every time.
Well, it's just like when I tried to go to EB Games and put a pre-order on a damn console, Luke. We're just men of different generations now. We're outdated. We're obsolete.
We're prehistoric.
Just another 4 white dudes on a podcast. So,
Complaining about the world.
yep.
It's gonna get worse the older we get. Like in 10 years' time, if we're still doing this, we're just gonna be like conservative assholes on a fucking podcast. I think that's unlikely to happen given, our leanings already, but we'll see how it goes.
I think if anything, I've only gotten more liberal with age than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy with this program. I think it'll be, much simpler for families because I know a number of people that have multiple Switches in the house, and then one kid will be playing a game, and then somebody else wants to play it, and it's like, what's a digital game? I can't share it. It's like, oh, well, give me your Switch. It's like, well, no, I don't want to give you. There's a whole lot of issues with that. And this solves. Obviously, it does. If I loaned, let's say I'm loaning Ollie a copy of Xenoblade, right? He gets it for 2 weeks. He can enjoy it for 2 weeks. In that 2 weeks, I can't play it because I've ejected it from my console. And I think that's going to trip people up for a bit until they sort of get their head around the fact that no, it's like if it was a physical game card and I've given it to Ollie, I can't play it when it's hidden in his console. The only other things is that saves are kept. So Ollie's got his game for 2 weeks from me. I get the game back. A month later, he borrows it again. He just picks up where he left off, which is very good. And the one thing that I'm curious about is the whole, they say, oh, you eject it from your console. It's like, cool. I assume that means we're not deleting the game or uninstalling it from our machine, and it gets installed on the other machine when you loan it. But they've not clarified that point, so I'm hoping that it works the way common sense would dictate. It's just
I would
a license
be
removed.
amazed if it uninstalls.
now
More
I imagine
intrigued
that'd be
in-
the case because the rights automatically go back to you after 2 weeks, so they should just be able to unlock it.
Yeah, on that, I'm intrigued to know if you can extend it before the 2 weeks is up.
No.
Like
Like a-
you can't. Oh, that's confirmed. That's
Yeah.
annoying.
but that's just to kind of prevent it. It's kind of to prevent you from like just meeting up with somebody and then lending them a bunch of games and then.
Yeah, sorry.
Just
I mean, like
perpetually
even
doing
even in person, right? So like before it expires, just be like, hey, extend another 2 weeks, like in person. Like it doesn't have to
Yeah,
be like
no, I-
virtually. It's just
I-
more of a. It's annoying. It expires. Like what if it expires right in the middle of someone playing it? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's infuriating.
Imagine if you let your virtual game card out and then that person died and you couldn't get it back. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Bye, Zelda.
It does.
in
It
2
does
weeks it'll
need
come back
internet.
eventually, so.
Yeah, it does need internet to eject the game as well. So even if you're doing it from your primary to a secondary console, the site does
yes.
state it requires internet. So I'm just-
Yes and no, but like you can also manage your carts online, in a browser. So like what I want to know, right, is like if I lend you a game, and then you obviously that you have the license to use that for 2 weeks. If you just keep your Switch on flight mode that entire time, which you can do because the license is locally on it, you can play offline, and then I just go online and revoke the access. Do we just both get access to it then?
Probably.
I'm gonna say.
Hmm.
You know what? They can
How would the second system know, right?
So they can definitely get around this just by literally having a local per game timer. That
I
is
think that's what it
exactly
is.
that's 14 days. Like it doesn't matter what
Yeah.
the system clock is, doesn't matter what anything is. It's like a locked 14 days, and it is just gonna stop working.
That would be hilarious if you could extend it just by going into your system settings and reversing time back 2 weeks.
Yeah, no, I
When you
think
got
they'll
to just go
definitely work
back
around
again
that.
2 weeks.
Yeah, that's some like maybe like if this launched in like the mid 2000s, that's definitely a thing that some idiot wouldn't have thought about.
But like the other thing, right, is that like if I transfer all of my cards to my Switch Lite and then put my Switch Lite in flight mode and then use the internet to put them back on my original Switch, do I just have full offline access to my games on both consoles? I really want to test this out, right?
I'd imagine you wouldn't
Yeah,
get the rights
maybe.
back. Like if you tried to do that, you put the second console into
Well,
flight mode.
okay.
You wouldn't be able to go into your other Switch and then get the rights back. It'd be like, oh wait, nope, we can't contact this other Switch. We can't revoke the license. You just can't. Play.
I understand where you're coming from, but what if my Switch gets stolen, right?
I was about to say,
Well,
well,
but
what if
then
it
I-
breaks, right? Then you can't.
Well, you would get it in 2 weeks anyway. Like it would. As
Well,
soon
no,
as
no,
that
on
other
my
Switch
own
goes online.
consoles, there's no 2-week console. Like I'm saying with my consoles, with
Yeah.
my OLED and my Lite, right? There's no 2-week limit there. I can transfer them back and forth forever. And I can put it in offline mode forever and just keep it like that, and it doesn't get revoked ever. So, like, can I just transfer all of them over, put it in offline mode, and then go onto my Nintendo account online, and then assign them back to my first Switch, and then, you know, I just have infinite access to both of my games.
Sounds like you should email Miyamoto instead of asking us.
No, these are just like there are unknowns about this system, about how it's going to work and
Yeah,
how it's
yeah,
going to be implemented. I'm really curious to test some of those things as somebody
It's a
who
good point.
has multiple consoles and apparently is rich.
Fucking money bags over here. Also, yeah, Luke, I was today years old when I found out that game cards had been called such since the Nintendo DS.
Yeah.
They were not cartridges back
True.
then, they were game cards.
Game carts, because Nintendo was the only company that ever made cartridges that stuck with them until they went to disc, and then they went back to carts.
Well,
Carts.
And
According
they
to
were called
Wikipedia, there's a
actually.
whole
They were
whole
called game-
Wikipedia page here called
they were called game
cards.
packs with a PAK.
Yeah, that's yeah. No, that was the. Was that the N64? Were they game packs?
I think any N64 prior. I don't know. I'm gonna be proven very wrong here. Give me a minute.
I remember the Rumble Pack was PAK.
Rumble Pack, Memory Pack.
Yeah. So the NES, SNES, Game Boy, and 64 were all game packs.
Yeah. What about GBA?
They were cartridges, I believe.
I think they were
I think that was
cartridges.
the only
I think
time
even
that they were officially cartridges.
I don't even know if Game Boy Color is included in that. It just says Game Boy. So I don't know if that's the entire collection. This is the nerdiest fucking conversation. Like,
I'm just so confused now. That's all. My whole world has just been shattered. I have
Anyway,
not been calling them.
okay, so
game
I think
cards.
it's the entire Game Boy. Yeah, it's the entire Game Boy line. Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Color, Game Boy. It's all game packs.
Yeah, okay. And then from the DS onwards, are differentiated by calling them cards.
hmm
Which makes sense because they're
Yeah,
slimmer and more
like,
They look,
card-like.
they look like cards. That's
Yeah,
fine.
they're
Yeah.
more card-like.
Yeah, just it never occurred to me.
So I hadn't noticed this, and I was wondering how they were going to manage it. And I thought maybe it'd be in like, you know, when you go to your all software and there's a button to go to your groups. And I thought maybe there'd be a button to go to things. There's actually an icon on the home screen.
Yeah, there's just an icon on the home screen that lets you see your game cards. Which yeah.
So between
Yeah.
the controller reassignment and the system settings, there's a Switch card icon thing. So there you go.
There it is. All right. So before we move on, does anybody have any major picks from the Nintendo Direct that they want to talk about that we haven't discussed already? Things that they thought looked really interesting, or you know, that they're excited for.
I just want to point out Marvel Cosmic Invasion, because it's made by Tribute Games, and they did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge a couple of years ago, and that was a really, really fun arcade beat 'em up that was basically like a sequel to all the Konami stuff from the 90s. And this is just basically the same thing, but with the Marvel characters. There's 8 characters that they've announced so far, but they've said there will be more revealed as we get closer to the game's launch. So, and the fact that it's not just, you know, Spider-Man and the same things, like Nova's in there. Oh god, Var something or other, I can't think of the name off the top of my head, is in there. So there's a good array of Marvel characters. So I think that looks pretty fun.
Was Saga Frontier 2 Remastered announced prior to this, or was that announced in this
Nope.
Direct?
Announced
Oh,
and
it was
released.
announced and
Yeah, in
released
the
during
Direct.
this Direct, yeah.
I'm kind of keen on Witchbrook, but I'm probably more going to get that on Steam or Steam Deck. Anyways, it looks like something I'd rather play there.
Maybe
the
on
other one
Switch
that
too.
really, yeah. The only other one that I'm kind of just because I can play it on a different platform as well. I can play it on my PC
So
and
good.
get achievements for it. Gradius Origins kind of interested me as well, being a collection of Gradius and Salamander as well. I never played the Salamander games, and I've only played a few Gradius ones, but I love me a good shmup, and the fact that they've got them in a little collection here. One weird note that I thought from the direct was like High on Life got like 5 seconds in the direct, and I didn't realize that was coming to Switch. And I saw 5 seconds of that, and I'm like, that's probably enough.
I'm
That's
pretty
all
sure
I
that was
need.
when it was announced in the direct as coming to Switch. I don't recall it being
Yeah.
announced previously.
No,
I was
it
like, 5
wasn't.
seconds is all you need to see of that game. That's not really a time.
There's
I
also
can- let's
two
spend some
games
time
that aren't in the list because they never got standalone trailers. So they were in that montage with High on Life. It's Lose Lagoon, which is a package delivery game where you're a pilot and you fly around on a seaplane and you deliver packages to people. And the other one is
King of Meat.
King of Meat, and that was announced a while ago for PlayStation, and Switch was in there. It was in that initial reveal trailer. This is like the first time we'd seen a Switch version of the game running. So, and that's just like a bizarre take on Fall Guys and stuff like that. So,
For me, I just want to say, this direct was very much aimed, like half of it I think was like aimed solely at me. But like we started off with like Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD remaster, which big fan, remake rather. I like Dragon Quest. I liked 3, although I don't think it's really HD 2D, but whatever. And then we followed it up with No Sleep for Konami Date, which is a new game in the Somnium Files series. I love those games so much. So a new one focused on Date, which the second game in the series wasn't. Huge deal for me personally. And then Raito Remastered, The Mystery of the Soulless Army, which is a remaster, although it looks more like a remake to me, of the first Devil Summoner game in the SMT series, which utterly fantastic games.
with how they described it after the direct, it definitely feels more like a remake.
Well, see, because the original had like 2D backgrounds and stuff, and it's like this is like a full 3D environments. Like it is night and day.
They made comments about the combat being different as well, and it's they've done more to it than you would do for a standard remaster.
Michael, turn down your headphones. Goddamn.
I'm so
You're
sorry.
echoing so much.
Echo.
Why it's a problem now? Like my volume's
Yeah,
slightly higher than it was.
No, I don't know. I think it's
All right, I was gonna stop turning my head.
I do think it's funny that the first like 3 games, Ollie was like, "Man, this is my kind of direct," and then like Pokemon was in there, and it's like if there was like a new Splatoon or a new Xenoblade in this direct, I think Ollie would have like fallen out of his chair. We'd have to like send the paramedics to wake him up.
The thing is, right, it's like Dragon Quest 1 and 2, and then Konami Date, Raito Remastered, Shadow Labyrinth, which I'm very excited for. Patapon, excellent. Story of Seasons, I don't really care that much about, but then it was like Metroid. There's just so much there. And yeah, I will talk about Pokemon briefly because I do think it is looking interesting.
Or as the article says, Hawk Ack Amon.
Yeah, it has a weird
It did it with Disney villains cursed Kathak because it has a weird thing where it doesn't understand the E with the
the accent. Yeah. French.
Anyway, they showed some new stuff in Pokemon Legends today, and I think it looks really interesting. I think they've done some fun new things with the structure of the game that will be okay. I worry that it's going to be repetitive, but we'll see how it goes.
I can just imagine them adding a real-time clock to the game, so it only becomes nighttime in the city when it's nighttime in the real world. So you've got to base your entire.
It would not
life
be the
around-
first time.
They did it with Silver and Gold.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
and
but
then
this whole battle royale thing they put in the game, it's like you've got to actually be playing it at like 9 o'clock at night when the sun's gone down. They just be hilarious to me.
yeah, there are mechanics, and I don't know if Angelo, you were still even playing Pokemon when Sun and Moon came out, but if you played Moon, your like night and day was just reversed. So it was nighttime when you were playing during the daytime, and then daytime during the night. But then like some events would only happen during the nighttime. So if you could only ever play at night, you were just kind of like fucked. Like if you played Pokemon Moon, just too bad. So yeah, it wouldn't be the first time that they've done stupid things like that. But from what we can see, it's going to be like a much faster day-night cycle than that.
Yeah. The other two games I want to just point out too, Star Overdrive. It's basically the developers keep calling it like a Breath of the Wild type of world, but you get a hoverboard and to do like Tony Hawk style tricks around on. That's a Switch exclusive at this time. It's not going anywhere else, so that looks really cool. I've seen it. It's been around for a while now. We keep seeing it. That's out in like a week at this point anyway, and there is a demo. But also Monument Valley 1, 2, and 3. So 1 and 2 are coming to console for the first time. They've been on PC before, but Monument Valley 3 is coming to all consoles and PC sometime this winter, having launched last year in Netflix. So the fact we're getting all 3 of those games on Switch is going to be cool, because I do like a good puzzle game.
Alrighty, if anyone has any last minute things to talk about from the Direct, please do so now. Otherwise, we are going to move on. No. All right. Switch 2. We're a couple days away from
happening.
The Direct. As the app Nintendo Today tells me, we're actually 3 days away from.
We'll get a notification 1 day to go. Oh, we've delayed the event. Sorry.
So yeah, we're not going to spend too long on this. Obviously, just in a few days, we'll be watching this and then discussing it in a week's time as well. So we're going to lay down our final predictions for the Switch 2. We want each of us to predict the launch price, launch date, the big Nintendo launch game, big third-party games on day one, and will Switch Online get new platforms within months of the console launch? I'll go first because I've actually thought about all of this. The launch price is going to be 700 Australian dollars, 100%. I do not think it's going to be any less than that. I do not think it's going to be much more than that. It could be. So I have a theory that this like digital game card thing is setting up a cheaper digital-only version of Switch 2, because I think the price is going to be quite high, and I think that they're going to get that price down by having a digital-only version of it. And this digital game card thing is setting that up. But yeah, $700 is what I expect. At least one version of the console will be sold at $700. Launch date, I think early June. I do not think it's going to be too much after the Direct. A couple months, totally fine. Big Nintendo launch game, it's going to be Mario Kart. There's nothing else that it could be. Mario Kart sold just gangbusters the entire way through the Switch's life, so Switch 2 launching with it is a good idea. Big third-party games on day one. There's so many that it could be. I don't know if it's going to be day one, but I would be shocked if we go more than 12 months without having Elden Ring on the system. Elden Ring is absolutely going to be on Switch 2 within the first year. So, yeah. And yeah, we'll absolutely get a new Switch Online platform. I think it will be DS. Or 3DS, Maybe go 3DS. But I think it'll be DS, yeah. And you'll be able to use the mouse icon to do the touch screen when you're docked. Yeah. Angelo, what are your predictions?
Okay, I'll get next. Sorry about it.
No, Michael can go. He's obviously got his. I haven't even thought of all of mine, so.
All right.
Yeah, launch price. I think I originally predicted in our last video on Switch 2 $679, but yeah, I reckon it's either $679 or like $699. Like, it's just anything less than that is, I just think, it's not going to happen, quite frankly, and everyone needs to prepare themselves. Yeah. Launch date, I agree. I reckon early June is probably pretty solid, but maybe late June, depending on like what happens. I'm assuming it's going to be on a Friday or a Thursday. That usually is where they drop from memory. I could be wrong. I remember it being on a Thursday or Friday last time.
Let me open up my calendar in Nintendo Today.
Your Nintendo app calendar, perhaps?
Let's see. Yeah.
Why are you looking that
so,
up?
like-
Oh no, you got it already.
June 5th and June 6th would be the first Thursday and Friday of June.
Yeah,
this year,
That
so
sounds pretty solid.
I could see both of those being a thing.
I agree. Big Nintendo game's going to be Mario Kart. Like, there literally cannot be anything else. I don't think anything else that they would even announce, even if it's coming on launch day, would do any better than Mario Kart. Like, that thing's
Unless
going to
it
be
was
bonkers.
Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing could.
Yes, I would be. Don't get me wrong. I would be so happy if Animal Crossing launched day and date with Switch 2, but like, I would be amazed if it did. I don't think Animal Crossing is like a launch game, like a launch material game. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's something that you do like a little bit later.
I think it's one of those things where like you get like you start to see the sales dip very slightly and then pull the trigger on releasing that, right? Like
Totally.
as soon as you start seeing sales like decline at all, that's when you bring out the Animal Crossing because you know it's going to bring in a lot of people.
Well, Nintendo also needs enough preparation time to start the next pandemic, so that way everyone buys the next Animal Crossing as well.
I'll put a
Oh
disclaimer
my
on the
God.
screen. Angelo is joking. Nintendo did not start a
I'm
pandemic.
I'm
We're just gonna get like fucking banned
yeah.
from Spotify for like having
Totally.
misinformation.
This is the most problematic Nintendo lawyer one we've done in a long time.
Ugh.
Big third-party games. Again, I don't know if it's going to be like day and date, but I would be, again, amazed, absolutely amazed if we didn't see GTA 5 on Switch 2.
Oh,
Yeah,
straight
five.
up.
I was like 6.
No,
Jeez.
6.
But those- the
So
five
I've seen
people.
people already predict 6, and I'm like, I don't know. I
No
don't
way
know
in
if that's
hell.
happening. Like, that's a big question mark.
No.
We'll get the Xbox 360 version of GTA 5. on
Yeah,
Switch 2
probably.
day one.
Switch Online new platforms. GameCube, baby. It's happening. That's if it doesn't, I'm gonna be shut your stupid fucking face. Get your face off your face, as Tony Collette would say.
I want it. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't know, man. That seems like too good of a thing.
I think that's exciting solely for the prospect of having a wireless GameCube controller.
Oh, I would do terrible things for a wireless GameCube controller. Oh, I mean,
I
a
mean, I
wireless
made
one with
one.
Rumble, because I have
Yeah,
one. But you know what I mean, a wireless one with Rumble.
Yeah.
A wireless one that is just a GameCube controller but is wireless.
Correct.
Absolutely. Has a USB support for recharging. Oh, that's the dream.
Yeah, it'd be really, really nice. And also just getting F-Zero on there would be lovely.
It would be so funny if they just like launched it and then just never put F-Zero on there.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
We've got all the
That's
other
gonna
F-Zeros
get you
already,
around.
so
Those are definitely my picks. I think the launch price particularly, I think people need to really get on board that it's probably going to be $700, like around that price.
Yeah. I do think that GameCube is possible, and I think that is going to be how you get Wind Waker on Switch 2. Because I do not think that the HD version is going to. I'm sorry.
that
I'm
would
sorry.
be amazing.
Wind Waker
Like-
and Twilight Princess both on Switch 2, but solely through the GameCube app, feels like the most like fuck Michael thing ever.
Considering that Twilight Princess
Like-
is flopped as well, like left is right in that game compared to the Wii.
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the GameCube version is the correct version. Just want to point it out there.
We
Twilight-
found
for
the guy who
Twilight
bought the
Princess.
GameCube version in the chat.
I have it. I have the GameCube version.
But look, I would not be angry at that. Like, I think I very much enjoy the GameCube versions of both. Like, that's not a problem for me. I just think that the Wii U versions, especially for Wind Waker, bring
Yeah.
some improvements for people that dislike the way they did the traveling and the end
That's
game.
me.
That's
Yeah.
for them. Also, it just looks stunning in high res. It really looks beautiful. So it would just be a shame if that again gets locked to the Wii U for some reason.
Well, look, if
yeah.
Patapon can come from the PSP to the Switch, it's fingers crossed that these other
Yeah,
games will
maybe
someday
we'll see
arrive.
it in Switch 3.
Yeah.
You know what would actually be
PSP
funny is
3.
if they did do DS and then we got the Phantom
Phantom
Hourglass
Hourglass and Spirit
before
Tracks.
Oh
we
my
got,
god, Spirit Tracks. That would be
got
incredible.
Wind Waker.
Oh
Oh,
my
that would be
God.
so good. All right, Angela, give us your predictions.
Launch price is such an iffy one. I think I went quite high with our like 2025 predictions. I think I said something like 650 or 700 or something. I'm not so sure at the moment. I don't know. I've kind of come around on it maybe being a little bit lower, only because I mean, Switch OLED, you can buy it right now for $445 on Amazon. It still retails for what, $540 at JB Hi-Fi and stuff like that. That's its full retail price.
Yeah, the RRP.
I think the unfortunate sweet spot would be somewhere around like 650-ish, 640, 650. But like even that's, I don't know, man. With these American tariffs going around and stuff like that, I think it's just going to be a lot harder to distribute any cheaper than that.
This is exactly why I said 679 to begin with. It's like a weird odd price. It sort of like indicates that they're pushing the limits of like where they can price it. But
I mean, the Switch original was like 469, 470 or something like that. So that does sound about right. So I don't know. Yeah, we made our predictions. It was before Trump came in, like firing tariffs off by the hip at every country in existence. So yeah, I just genuinely can't even put like a ballpark price that I'm comfortable with at this point. Launch date, another one. I just don't freaking know, man. Like, I want to say that like even though the console is being revealed like properly in like April and we're getting these worldwide hands-on events, that like maybe it'll come out in like July, but I could totally see it still coming out in about September-ish or something. Just in time for the holidays. Just to kind of,
that'd be so late if it came out in September.
It'd suck. Don't get me wrong. It'd really suck. But if they want to kind of like really milk this, like traveling around the world, getting everyone's hands on it kind of thing, and the fact that they've apparently just been stocking up warehouses to be able to have these things ready to go so people don't get disappointed by scalpers as much as they did, you know, for other console launches. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, July would be perfect. July or June, but I could see it coming out around September-ish as well. Nintendo launch game, I reckon it'll be the Mario Kart game. I reckon that would just be kind of a surefire thing. It's the only game that they've shown a Switch 2 game for so far, and I think that's for good reason as well. Mario Kart was such a huge success. So yeah, Mario Kart 8 was such a huge success when the Switch, like not long after the Switch launched. I think that really like fired the console off. So yeah, big third-party games on day one. I don't know, man. Like, I still have such a sweet spot for snipper clips when that came out on the Switch. I would love to see something like that just really take off. Like, even if it doesn't like help sell the console, just something really neat and unusual to talk about and just have a big smile on your face for when you put that bad boy up on a bench and you're playing tabletop mode with someone else. Or as I did, just kind of have it sitting in a car while someone else is driving and you're playing with another person.
Sorry, Angelo, you just want to make sure you're not getting home invaded. I just saw somebody walk.
No. That's my partner just going outside the backyard.
It's just double checking.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Switch Online platforms. Totally the Nintendo DS. Everyone will have a Switch 1 at that point, so you just stack the two Switches together and you just do the clamshell thing with two Switches, and there you go. Could play Spirit Tracks and the other Zelda game, no problems.
He says that jokingly, but it's like, I could see Nintendo doing something stupid like that because it's Nintendo.
That's why the USB-C port's on the top.
Yeah, Nintendo. Yeah, absolutely. Nintendo will absolutely announce some like ridiculous like Super Nintendo hinge thing, and it just goes in between your console, and then there you go. You got a clamshell design.
All right, Luke, give us your predictions.
I think the launch price is going to be $730. Just because again, like with Michael, just because it's going to be that weird price.
That's almost as much as a PS5 and Xbox.
A standard PS5 is $699.
Yeah, now, but like when it came out though.
Yeah. So when it launched, it was more expensive. But I think just because US dollars and taxes and stuff, I think 700 would be ideal. But I think they're just going to bump it up, to sort of that weird price point because Nintendo haven't launched a console here at a standard price point in a long time. So 729 is my sort of guess for that. Launch date, I think June 6th, just because I think they'll go for the whole 6.6. Just because I think for marketing purposes, 6.6 is easy to put in any, no matter which format you put your date in, 6.6 straight away.
That's a good point.
Launch game, yeah. Well.
Sorry, Michael's face.
I was like, what?
I think we're going to get a brand new XXYY game. on Switch 2 for that date. I think in terms of big first-party games, I'm going to go not Mario Kart. I think it's going to be Metroid Prime day one. I think
it actually says big Nintendo launch game, so
I think
they're
going to do.
Jeez.
I think they're going
Right
to
in
do
the
the same thing they
soul.
did with Switch. They're going to launch with a big game like Metroid Prime, and then Mario Kart's going to come like a week or a month or two later.
Okay, so I love Metroid Prime, right? I would love that. That is the wrong fucking move. If like Nintendo will be nuts to do that. The opposite would be
yes.
correct.
Correct, but again, it's Nintendo, and they always do the thing we don't expect them to do. So,
Unless they announce that like Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild run well on the console, at which point like it'll just like that will be enough to sell that system again, I think.
I mean, they could surprise us with a reveal in the event and be like Super Mario Odyssey 2, right? Something like that. Who knows? But
with these Switch 2 edition things, I'll be very intrigued to see like how much of the Nintendo's own library gets that like day one. Like it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be like all of the big ones except Pokemon, because like Game Freak sure as shit isn't doing that.
Because those games are just broken no matter code can fix them.
Yeah, like you could apply as many, extra, gigahertz to those games as you like. It's not going to make a fucking difference.
Pokemon comes to me as like one of those games that's programmed like it was in the early 2000s, where everything's like specifically tied to the speed of the system. So like as soon as you do anything else, the whole game just fucking breaks.
Sorry, Luke, we're completely
yeah. Sorry, Luke.
Yeah, shut up, Luke.
I part of me wants Mario Kart day one because it's Mario Kart. Mario Kart's always a good time. But I just think for Nintendo, they'd see that as a once the diehards get their console day one, a month later, 2 months later, when mum and dad go out and buy the console for the kids, in preparation for Christmas or because end of school holidays in America, whatever it happens to be, I think that's when they'll put the next big game out. I think they're going to replicate that Switch release cadence. That first year, we got some really good games, sort of every 6 to 8 weeks. So I think they're going to do the same with this one. And that's the only reason I don't think they do Mario Kart Day 1. Because Mario Kart Day 1 means we're going to be getting the console. Mum and dad have to go out and get the console for little Jimmy and little Susan. So I think it just makes it easier for Nintendo if they know their stock will be allocated to the diehards Day 1 and then the families a month later.
Sorry,
I feel like
calling their child Susan in current year.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, Jimmy and Susan, popular 2025 names.
But Susan's spelled with a $sign and an @ symbol now.
Oh, of
I mean,
course. The Elon Musk method. My bad.
Go.
I think if they release Mario Kart like day one, they will sell the Switch console. They will sell Mario Kart plus another game. Like Mario Kart's like a no-brainer attached for every single console. And if you don't do that, I honestly think it'll be like the console plus whatever other launch thing that they're gonna do. And then like half the people will get a Pro controller or whatever.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I could see them doing it with Mario Kart Day 1. I just think Nintendo is predictable in how unpredictable they can be, and that just makes too much sense. And I just don't think they do that.
Yeah,
I think we're seeing it like a change in Nintendo, to be honest, a little bit. Like I know I'm touching wood when I say that, but all the stuff we've seen over the past few months is a little bit of a more positive low.
Yeah.
Sure.
Third party game.
Sorry, just before. Sorry, I've
Shut
been
up,
wanting
Luke.
to say this for ages. I do think we're going to see, like I mentioned before, that I'm just adding an addendum to my previous thing, just in the middle of Luke. Sorry. I do think this digital only view, I think, is probably also going to come without like a dock and all of the extra shit. I think there will be a console.
It's essentially a light without a cartridge slot.
Exactly, yeah, a light without a cartridge slot. I think that is possible. It'll still like work the same as a Switch. You'll still be able to dock it if you buy a dock after or whatever. But I think it will. Yeah, I think that is likely. Just to get something that is cheaper, because like not bundling a dock, not having a cartridge slot, like I think those will help bring the price down like $100, right? Like if you're looking at $700, if there's a version that's $600 and you don't really care about TV play, that's not a bad deal.
Or
The
if
only
it's
thing
your
about the
second
non-cartridge,
console.
the only thing about the non-cartridge thing that I don't quite buy is that like with another home console like an Xbox or not even an Xbox, yeah, an Xbox and a PlayStation, is that like they save space. Like it's designed to be like the slimmer console. I just don't see what benefit that would do hardware-wise, apart from just making it cheaper, which I'm not sure would be enough.
Yeah, I don't
motivation.
think the
think
cost would be.
There's just
too
a hole
cheap.
in the system. Then I feel.
I think it being the only way to get a cheaper console means that Nintendo maximizes its take from digital purchases. Right now, they don't really get much from physical games. They get more from digital purchases, both themselves because they get 100% of the profit, and from third-party developers as well, because
Yeah,
they get
no, I just mean like
30% from that.
if they did that, it would probably be like a whole new SKU, which is basically what the Switch Lite was. Like they just removed the cartridge slot and made it smaller, and there you go.
Yeah, I'm saying that. Yeah, I don't know. I think this will be a cheaper version and sold as a cheaper version.
Yeah.
Specifically, telling people that like this is the cheap one.
Yeah, I could see.
But I
them
don't think it'll
going
be
dockless.
as hamstrung. Well, I think it will be dockless because that's like one of the biggest like cost makers for that.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I could see them doing that, like doing like a one that's like $50 cheaper and touting that one as the affordable one somehow when it's like $700.
Anyway, Luke, sorry, big third-party games.
Yeah, shut up,
Yeah.
Luke.
My big third-party game, I'm going to go really out there. I'm going to say Forza Horizon 5. It's launching in a few weeks on PS5, and that port's being done by Panic Button. Panic Button also did the updated version for. They did the Xbox One X version of Forza Horizon 3, and they did the Xbox One version of Forza Horizon 4, so they know the series fairly well. But I just think with what they've done with Switch, I think they've got that pedigree.
What? Is that through your
phone's
mic,
going?
Luke? What's that bubbling sound?
That was the Alarmo telling me that it's crossed the hour. So
Even your llama's telling you to be quiet. Dang.
yeah, shush. So I think with Panic Button have that pedigree on Switch. They did the Doom ports, they did the Wolfenstein ports. Wolfenstein not so much, but the Doom ports were very much, some of the best impossible ports for Switch. I think they've got that pedigree already, and I think with Xbox going crazy with their putting their stuff on other platforms, I think they'd sort of want to have a big game sort of day one. And I just think Forza Horizon would be one of those games where they could do it.
So you're suggesting that the baby game for the Switch 2 will be Forza Horizon, but the man's game will be Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Boy.
100%.
I'm really gonna be intrigued. This is a total side note, but thinking about Horizon, like we're getting into the era where Switch 2 is probably gonna be like decently graphically powerful. It's gonna be intriguing to see how large these games are, like storage wise. Because Forza's a pretty large game. It's like 100 and something gigs from memory.
130 something at the last time I saw it.
Yeah, well, we kind of know from the patents that there may be ways around that. I'm hoping that is the case because
Yeah, I'm assuming they'll have like on the fly like compression and decompression. Like they'll, especially if they're releasing physical carts of stuff, that's going to get expensive fast.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, even then, even with that stuff, it's still going to be large. So.
Well, Doom the Dark Ages is inevitably going to come to Switch 2, so it's going to be interesting to see how big that game's going to be and how it looks on the Switch 2.
And then new NSO platform, I think it's going to be Virtual Boy.
Sure.
I'm kidding. I think it's going to be GameCube. I think it's just the easiest one for them to market straight away. DS, I'd like to see it, but I think with the way they did it on Wii U, I think DS is just a little bit too confusing for regular folk to sort of understand why this game has two screens side by side and all that sort of stuff. So I think GameCube just makes sense. And we've already seen a patent for a GameCube-esque type controller. So I think it just makes sense for it to be GameCube.
Allegedly, I don't believe that patent, that FCC filing thing. I don't think it's real.
The only thing that I'm skeptical about with the GameCube NSO app, and like this is literally the only thing that I'm always skeptical about with it. It's like the way that the other NSO apps run is that like whenever a game comes to the servers, you have to update the app, so the games come as an update to the app itself. And now the games aren't that big because the apps themselves are quite small. So like you're just literally loading up a ROM, so it's like a couple of megabytes per update. Whereas GameCube games can be like anywhere between like a couple hundred megs to potentially a gig. So like if they update the app and put like 2 games on there, you're potentially downloading like a 1.5 to 2 gigabyte update.
My personal thought on how they do it is it would be the app would have it in the library, and then you would have to go into the app
and then you have to download it manually. And that would be the smart thing to do. But Nintendo
It's
doesn't
Nintendo,
typically,
so it's just gonna be like a full fucking 1.5 gigabyte update every month.
and that's it, right? That's what
Well,
makes me
every
skeptical
3 months because it's Nintendo.
and that's what makes me skeptical that it'll be like a dedicated app platform like the other ones are. Maybe like there'll be a tab in the NSO eShop.
I hope
page
they
where,
are
you
just
can
doing
download
like
the games.
bit perfect ISOs, like because the disc is 1.5 gigs, but not the game data doesn't have to be 1.5 gigs.
No, that's what I'm
So,
saying. Like it could be anywhere
yeah.
between like 100 megs and like 1 gig, right? Because like
Yeah.
then they have all that data to play with. So who knows?
I don't.
I want to believe. I want to believe.
I personally want them to have a unified NSO app, like just one app, and then within the app are the different platforms. So again, like maybe a tab across the top to cycle through them. Because I'm sick and tired of being, I'm playing a Game Boy game, and I want to play Super Nintendo. I got to quit out it, go to the Super Nintendo.
Well, yeah, because at that point you'd be playing these console games virtually, so you could just call it the virtual console.
That's an idea worth pursuing. Nintendo, you should get onto this virtual console thing.
Imagine,
I can
guys,
see-
imagine there was an option to remove the grey bars on the side when playing a fucking game.
Yeah, that alone on a new app would make it worth getting Switch 2 for.
I could definitely see, instead of having like discrete apps, just like having it built into the system, like just a menu where all the things live, and then you download the individual games that you want. I think
Totally.
that is totally doable, and I think probably what Nintendo would have done if the Switch one had launched with any plans to do that, which it did not. Anyway, we will have plenty more to talk about the Switch 2 in a week's time. So
I can't wait for us to
needn't dwell
be
on this.
completely wrong in 5
Yeah.
or 6 days.
Totally, it's gonna be incredible.
It'll be
I think
like
just so everyone's context aware,
$200.
we're recording this about 3 days before the launch of the video
wait,
for Switch 2.
when's the announcement again?
9 p.m. my time Wednesday, so midnight for you
Oh, Wednesday.
on Thursday.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
That's the most offline Angelo shit that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, man. I'm off the ball. I don't know when the Mario movie is coming out. I don't know when the Switch 2 comes out.
You don't know how
my
to
God.
pre-order consoles anymore.
I genuinely thought I'm terrible with dates, so I genuinely thought it was going to be
Yeah.
on Thursday or Friday, like the directs typically are. I didn't think it was going to be on the Wednesday.
According to the Vookcast.net countdown, it's 3 days, 11 hours, 53 minutes, and 52 seconds away.
Oh, if only there was a website for Vooks. I just keep typing in Vooks and then putting in like .org, .bit, and nothing happens. What's the website?
100%. I get that. I get
It's
this weird bookstore
www.vooks.net,
sometimes. Don't like it.
Or you can just type in vooks.au, which also takes you directly there.
See, I didn't
Oh
even
man,
know that. There we
today
go.
I learned. Yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah.
What about if I type in Vooks.gamecard?
You can try it. I mean, I don't think we own that.
I just tried Vooks.au and that didn't work.
What?
Oh wait, now it worked.
Vooks.au.
What the hell?
Yeah.
I literally typed it, it didn't work, and then I typed it again, and then it did work. Okay.
Alrighty. I think we have a little bit of time to talk about the games that we're playing, because we have not done that in such a long time. It's been like 7 episodes. So I've been playing South of Midnight. I can't talk about it, but I've been playing it. It is a video game that exists. I also played Atomfall for review, and what a strange game that is. I don't know.
I
It's
saw
weird.
somebody made a comment that go, "Is this just like Fallout but in the UK?" And it's like, no, it's not Fallout in the
No,
UK.
it's like if Metro was good and also in the UK, but also like a third of the size of a Metro game. It's a very strange game, but it does let you, load up your entire inventory with pasties. So gotta love it.
And I'm also certain it's about 10 hours. Like, it's not a hugely long game.
I
so-
rolled credit at like 9 hours and 45 minutes. There are like other endings you can play through it multiple times, but yeah.
And it's from the studio that made the Sniper Elite series, so Rebellion.
Angelo, you've got an interesting one in there.
Yeah, I've barely been playing any games lately because I just haven't had time. But instead, for whatever reason, I've had plenty of time to be watching Dragon Ball Z Kai. So my partner and I've wanted to get my partner into Dragon Ball Z for a while. She's only ever seen Abridged. And like, it's great. Don't get me wrong. I love Abridged so much. But I feel like tonally, like she doesn't quite, to her, Dragon Ball Z is all this ridiculous antics, right? It's all this goofy stuff, sexual humor, all that kind of crap. So I'm just like, oh, we should watch Dragon Ball Z sometime. It's long AF, but it's good fun. She's always skeptical. I finally got my hands on Kai. Man, Kai is so much better than the original releases that we got in the West. Like, it's so much snappier. There's still it's famous for having removed a lot of filler, but there's still a little bit of filler in there, particularly in like the middle chunk of Namek. That's just such a long saga, and then a little bit of the Boo saga as well. That just kind of drags on too. But yeah, it's great fun. It's interesting watching Dragon Ball Z Kai, and everyone's just cussing. Everyone's calling each other bastards. There's a point where Goku is talking to the old Supreme Kai in the Majin Buu saga, and like he tries to coax him into like supercharging Gohan by agreeing to let him touch a woman's boobs and butt, and like he literally says like booties and tush or something like that. I'm like, Goku just said the word boobies. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
But it's
That's
great
why it's
fun. Like
great.
go on.
So that's why it's great when you watch Sean Schemmel on his Twitch streams, because he does the Goku voice so often, and he says some really outrageous things.
Nice. I didn't even know he streams. But yeah, like we started Kai about a month ago, and we're already like 140 episodes in, and the whole series is like 164. So they trim off like 60, 70 episodes.
And if you had started the regular Dragon Ball Z, you'd only be on like episode 7 at this point.
Yeah, it takes so long. Like the whole time we're watching this, I'm like, hey, you have no idea. We're only like 20 episodes in, and we're already on Namek. I was already like most of the way through year 6 at this point. Like, this is insane. So
Yeah.
that's great.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like a lot of people, if you watch it now, you don't really remember. Oh God, Michael.
Sorry, goddamn. Why is it so bad today?
It's just weird.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think like a lot of people forget just how long certain things took in the original run. Like, the final fight against Frieza was like 5.5 episodes long.
Like more than
on
that.
Planet
Like
Namek,
Frieza famously says that Namek is going to blow up in 5 minutes, and literally that happens on a Monday, and they're still going on Friday.
Yeah. And then like, charging the spirit bomb like was a phenomenally long thing that took such a long time in the original run.
Dude, when Goku was
you do it in any video game and it's like 5 minutes.
Yeah, when Goku was flying to Namek on his spaceship, the one that they make at Capsule Corp, like that was like a 2-week journey for us, but it's like 2 or 3 episodes in Kai. And like in the original cut of that, like he crash lands on another planet. He has to like go out of the ship to fix something, and he's screwing around on the outside of the ship for like a couple of episodes. In Dragon Ball Z Kai, he's just inside training for a couple of episodes. Like that's it. It's so much faster. There's so much taken out of the original cut. But the downside is that there are 2 important episodes that are missing from Kai. One is the fun episode where Goku and Piccolo go get their driver's licenses. That's not in Kai. And then the other episode is
when Goku becomes a farmer.
Oh, I forgot about that one. No, but the episode, the epilogue, when Trunks goes back to his timeline after defeating all the androids in our timeline and stuff. He goes back to his timeline and then beats the cell that takes his ship and goes back in time. They don't show that episode in Kai, so like that story is somewhat unresolved. So we'll have to go back and check that.
It's because it gets retconned in Super.
Okay.
So
There's
yeah.
Sorry, just total side note. There's an amazing fan edit of Naruto where they cut out all the filler, and they do like small edits to put all the storylines that are over like multiple episodes into one episode, which is really, really good. And the final episode of the season for this Naruto fan edit is episodes 136 to 220 and a little recap. That's just like all filler. Like the entire thing is filler. It's just
Yeah,
absolutely
there's a
bonkers.
Having
huge
watched that whole
Naruto.
series last year, yeah, that show, man, it's such a slog.
But for Naruto, you could literally take like the first 5 minutes of the first episode where he goes, "I'm gonna be Hokage, believe it," and then just cut to him as being Hokage, and you'd be fine.
I watched the original Japanese run of Naruto, obviously subtitled. But like it was like it got to a point like I don't know, probably a quarter way through, and like the first quarter of the episode was a recap of the last episode, and the last
Yeah, it's
quarter of the
wild.
episode was a preview for the next episode. So I was just watching every second episode because I would get the entire storyline through that. Like,
Yeah, that's why the fan edit's so great. They cut all
Yeah.
that shit out. It's really, really awesome. If you want to watch
tried-
Naruto, highly recommend that this is the way you do it.
I tried to watch a fan edit of One Piece because that's also a really long series. But the thing that got me about that was that the edit that I watched was a really jank edit. So like you'd be watching like the first episode and it'd be like 2 or 3 episodes cut into one. But like as we know from watching a lot of like serialized anime, there's a lot of like incidental music that happens underneath it. And so as you're watching it, the music doesn't line up. So it's just like
Yeah,
jarringly
right.
cuts between these different scenes and nothing is actually lining up properly. So dialogue wise
Well-
it makes sense, but all the background music is completely different. Like every 2 to 3 seconds is a different piece of music and it's just so disorienting to watch and listen to.
the
So
good
that's
thing
the only
is
issue that I have.
the good thing is that they're remaking the One Piece anime to just be the main canon stuff without any filler or extenders. So,
Oh,
Sounds like
that's
what they
why I
did
didn't
with
know that.
Kai.
That's cool.
yeah, it's being produced by Netflix. I think with
Oh,
I want to
yeah,
say
yeah.
Trigger is involved. I don't think it is Trigger.
Yeah, that was a big announcement. Like I want to say like 3-4 months ago or something.
Yeah.
Are they going to use
Um,
the OG anime cast, or are they going to use the live action
Yeah,
cast?
it's the same
think-
cast. It's the
I think
same
it's
OG anime
sick.
cast.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well done.
It's being produced by Wit Studio, who did Spy Family, which you know, really great. Anyway, Luke, what games have you been playing?
Yes, I've been playing games, not watching anime. So I mean, in the past few weeks, I've put in a heck of a lot of time into Assassin's Creed Shadows. I think that's a really, really, really good game. It sort of mixes in a bit of Splinter Cell with the whole taking out lights and sneaking around in the shadows, to stab people. The seasons are really cool. Like, in summer and spring, there'll be bushes you can hide in, but in winter, they're all dead and there's no leaves on them, so you can't hide in the bush because it's just twigs. It doesn't make sense story-wise because the seasons change like every 5 missions in the game. So, but the characters don't age. So you'll have like 4 seasons between major story events, but nobody's aged a year in that time. So that's a little weird, but it's still fun. I really,
It's
really
fine.
enjoyed
It's
it.
just set in Melbourne. Like every
Wow.
day is a new season.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed
Little,
Shadows
little,
set in
little
Melbourne.
Tokyo in Melbourne is such a vast place. But yeah, I've also been playing South of Midnight, and I've played Doom: The Dark Ages, which I can't talk about either of those, but I've played them both.
Michael, tell us about Hell Let Loose.
Yep. So I was playing Hell Let Loose yesterday with one of my mates, Kai. It's absolutely fucking fantastic as usual. Actually, you know what? While we're on this, because why not? We talked about recording this episode because it's going to be too fucking long, but we've veered off topic like 400 times, so I don't give a shit at this point. We encountered our first like confirmed cheater in Hell Let Loose yesterday. Like it was
Ooh.
super rare. This dude had
Confirmed.
aimbot and was literally just like nuking the entire team constantly from like orbit. It was wild. And there's no inter-team chat in the game. So like someone had to switch teams to the other team to be like, hey guys, this guy's cheating. Can you like vote kick him, please? Yeah, it was really, really cooked. Also played through a game about digging a hole.
I've heard
Hot
about
guesses
this.
on what it's about.
I've heard about this.
It's just dumb. It's just you dig a hole. Your shovel gets more powerful. And you dig a hole and you find stuff. It's very short. It's just a dumb, fun game. Also tried Half-Life 2 RTX, which is obviously, just a little demo. But stunningly beautiful. They've done a great job. I can't wait to see what the whole game looks like. It's really, really cool.
A
Wait,
game
to-
about digging a hole sold 250,000 copies in its first week.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's past 1 million at this point.
I want to point out Michael brought up Naruto and how it cuts things out, and I bought these secondhand the other day, the Ubisoft Naruto games, because as I was playing Shadows, Assassin's Creed Shadows, there's some stuff where you've got to sit down and do hand signals to like get into a meditative state. And I'm like, Ubisoft and hand signals. I remember that game, and it's the Naruto games. So
Nice.
it sort of reminded me of them. Like, I'll pick them up. So
Well, also Michael learned how to do shadow clone jutsus
What?
when you do the double thing on your screen.
Oh, I forgot about that completely.
it was
Here we
so
go,
long ago.
Let's do a little preview exclusive for the VOD viewers. Where is this? And bam.
Great podcasting. Wow, there he is. He's Hokage.
All right, let's move on to 20 questions. This is still less than 2 hour long episode, so we're good. We're fine.
Is it? Oh
Just-
yeah, it is.
by
Holy
1
shit.
minute, it still is less than 2 hours long.
Incredible.
And there'll be like 15 minutes cut off the beginning because we chatted for a bit after recording started, so it'll be fine. Anyway, Luke, you are the game master. You know the game.
I know the
Master
game.
General.
We still don't have an actual term for the person who has the game. We've been doing this for almost 200 episodes, 300 episodes, and still don't have a name for it. So, yeah, Luke, you are the games man.
Yes, I'm the game man. So
Was this
you know
game
the
released on or after January 1st, 2010?
yes, it was.
I think Angelo's visceral reaction to this will make me do it every single time. Like, you're only making it
It's
worse.
It's a sentence I hear every fortnight that I don't need to.
So the answer was yes, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
2000?
To
what you said?
2010, I said.
2010. Sorry. Okay.
I thought you were trying to ask a question there, and I was like, that's not a
No,
question.
sorry. Yeah.
2000.
That's not
You're
how
just like-
dates go.
The ultimate FU. I'm going to simplify that question down to just the year.
Okay. 2010. Was this released on a dual screen system?
No.
Was this released on a home console?
Yes.
All right, so it's either late Wii or Switch.
Or rest in peace, Wii U, I guess.
Well, that's a dual screen
Has
system.
dual screen?
Oh, okay, yeah. I guess it technically is. Yeah, fair enough.
Okay.
Was this released on Nintendo Switch?
No.
So it's okay.
Late Wii. Interesting. Very interesting.
Or it was released on a Nintendo Classic console.
Oh my god. We've
Well, that
really
was a-
cursed ourselves into like this real bullshit like area.
But that was only Star Fox 2 though. We've already had that one.
Oh my god, I forgot. I just remembered. I was meant to talk about this in the chat, but I'm going to do it live on air. If someone does the 3DS Louvre game that was commercially available, you could buy it from the Louvre themselves.
Ah.
Just letting you know. I was going to keep it as like a FU when someone did it and like catch them off guard and just nail it down. But I feel like it's more interesting that we know, everyone knows.
I love how no one actually used that game as a choice, but someone just brought it up magically like a few weeks ago. And now it's just stuck in our minds.
That was me.
Yeah, one day, like in 4 years' time, someone will break it out and we'll all die.
Yeah. All right, so it's potentially a
did we
late
just-
Wii game.
Do we just want to confirm it's on Wii just in case?
Yeah, sure.
All right, what's this game on the Wii?
Yes.
I thought the video was actually frozen.
Video froze.
Wow.
That was completely still. Oh my god.
All right, so it's a late
Incredible.
Wii game.
Okay.
Was this game published by Nintendo?
No.
Didn't think so. That'd be
Oh,
too easy.
Means there's only like 6,000 games to choose from. So
I
6,002.
reckon it might be. I
Actually.
reckon it might be Tatsunoko versus Capcom. That's my guess. Based on nothing. No. Was this game developed in Japan?
That is a good question. Yes.
Cool.
I had to double check.
Does this game feature motion controls?
Yes.
So it's not like a Monster Hunter.
Sorry, did we know if this was part of a series? I
No.
blanked out for a second.
No.
Okay, is this
No,
game
that's
part of a
not it.
series?
Yes.
It was developed in Japan.
Part of a series, doesn't feature motion controls.
It was developed in Japan.
Yes, it was right. I was right. I didn't
Yep.
see that. Hmm.
That is interesting.
Hmm.
God, there's just so many fucking Wii games. This just makes this so hard.
Oh, and it's not published by Nintendo. Right?
No.
Yep. Should we keep going with developers or should we start going for genre? Characters?
Yeah, either one's fine. Have we like successfully gotten a genre in the past like 12 games? I feel like
No.
we are really bad at doing this.
We've gotten a few.
Genre is just like less useful because like usually when we can like narrow down information not related to genre, it gives us fewer choices than if we narrow it down to genre.
Mm.
It's only when
I
the
wanna
genre
ask-
is like really important that it's worth knowing.
I want to ask the multiplayer thing, but if it's on the Wii and it doesn't have motion control, or it doesn't feature motion controls, I'm thinking that it might not have multiplayer.
Wait, it doesn't or does? I thought it did.
I thought it didn't.
Sorry,
Angelo,
would you
your
say?
question was, does this game feature motion controls? And I said yes.
Oh, okay. I wasn't listening. It does.
It does have motion controls.
Yeah.
Is it going to be the? I'm blanking on the name. I need to take my ADHD meds. Jesus. I can't fucking remember shit. I'm not paying attention. The surgery. The surgery.
Oh,
thing.
trauma team? Trauma team?
Trauma center.
Trauma, whatever the
Trauma?
fuck.
Yeah, Trauma Center.
Trauma center. Yeah, is it trauma?
Isn't it
center?
called something different on
I don't
the
know.
Wii? I don't know. The trauma game.
The trauma game.
I'm pretty sure
Is
it was
this
Trauma
a
Center.
surgery game?
No.
Okay.
That is
Um,
10.
Does this game feature multiplayer?
Yes.
Okay.
Ah.
Japanese developed multiplayer game or game with multiplayer. I believe.
Not published by
Um,
Nintendo. Developed
Alright,
in Japan.
is this a party racing or rhythm game?
I feel like asking like this 3 different genres in one question is a bit of a catch.
I mean, we still have to
'Cause
figure
it still
out
has
which
a
one it
yes or
is.
no.
yeah.
Yeah, just a yes.
Um,
Within the rules.
But to answer the question, no. It is not
Fuck.
any of those 3.
Okay.
Do we know if it's licensed?
No, we didn't ask that from memory.
I feel like it's less likely to be licensed if it was developed in Japan, but not like impossibly so.
Might be an anime game.
Could be.
It's part of a
Naruto.
series.
Um,
No, wait.
That's
Is it
all I
part
can
of a
think
series?
about. All I can think about is Nintendo games. My brain. Yeah, it is part of a series. Yes.
Okay, cool.
all right, is this a licensed game?
No.
Jesus. Okay.
We know nothing about this game.
We know it exists. Hopefully.
Yes, I've picked an unreleased game.
Is
I
this,
wouldn't fucking put it past you.
Is this a fighting or an action game?
No and no.
Oh my god.
So what other kind of game could it be that's multiplayer with motion controls? Puzzler?
Could be a puzzle game, yeah. It's developed in Japan.
It's Luke. It's gonna be some bullshit game.
Is this a have you said platformer yet?
No.
Is this an RPG or a platformer?
No and no.
What? Oh my god.
What question are you up to? 14?
That was 15. You got 4 questions and a guess.
Jesus Christ.
I've got the Sonic drowning music playing in my head at the moment.
To be fair, the last few I've come up with, you guys have guessed pretty easily, so I thought I really.
Yeah, no,
needed
this is like we need to be, taken back down a peg. I'm just struggling to think of. Is this a first-person shooter?
No.
Oh, god damn it! I should have added in
I was gonna
third
say, why
person
did you ask me
search.
what?
Yeah, I know, I'm a fucking idiot. Oh, I've got such a feeling it's a third person shooter now, and I should have fucking asked it.
Does this game feature... No, I shouldn't ask the 3D graphics thing.
Does this game feature? No.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm struggling hard.
Yeah, no.
Tell me about it.
But it's
Trying to think of other
it's-
genres. Like,
Well, let's come back to the fact that it came out late Wii era, so 2010 to 2012. Got to ask if this game was popular. I want to say it's not.
yeah, is that even gonna be? Is it gonna help us at all?
Yeah, maybe not.
Okay. Oh, I don't really have a question about it. I was going to ask if it's been like remastered or re-released.
That can work.
That narrows it down because there's stuff like Sonic Colors, etc.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Has this game been remastered or re-released since its original release on the Wii?
No.
Okay. So that doesn't narrow it down at all. Cool.
All right. So what other genres are there? Like, we can
If you're just
jump
making
another
this game
genre
up as you
question. Third person shooters. That's another one. We could ask if it's a sports game. We haven't asked that, right? I don't think so. We could ask if
No, I
it's
don't
like
think
a flight sim. I don't know.
A what?
Either
A
a
light
flight
sim?
sim.
A flight sim,
Oh.
or like
I'm
a
like, what the
flying.
hell's a light sim?
Third person.
Yeah, no,
You
no.
simulate turning on a light bulb? Like, I was confused for a second.
Have we ruled out if it's a card game? Because it could be Yu-Gi-Oh.
Could also be a card game. We can do all
but it's-
four.
It's not licensed though, right?
Yeah, it's not licensed.
Well, Yu-Gi-Oh is not really licensed exactly.
Because it's made by Konami.
It's made
like
by
Digimon.
Konami, who also makes the anime and makes the cards. Like, it's all Konami. It's not really, they're not licensing.
Sounds
it.
like
Alright,
the
is
kind of-
this
Sounds like the kind of
Is this-
bullshit technicality Luke would use, so yes.
is this a third person shooter? Is it a flying game? Is it a sports game or a card game?
This is all one question, by the way.
It's all one
Despite
question.
The way that he's wording it.
Yeah,
I
you know what I mean.
If it wasn't one question, you'd have gone into negative. The answers are no, 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 and no.
I got nothing. This game
Yeah.
it's not even a game.
You have one question and a guess remaining.
This is the YouTube app for watching videos on Wii. I've got zero ideas. Like, I'm dead to the world on this one.
Okay. How many do we have left?
One question and
one
a
and a
guess.
guess.
Do we just
We've got-
ask the meta question and hope for the best?
What
We haven't
games do we
even
even
mentioned
men-
games.
Yeah, what
I don't
games do we
know.
fucking
We
mention?
just say a bunch of games and then fucking ask the meta question.
It could be a
Oh my
rhythm
God.
game.
Have we? Did we not ask rhythm?
I thought we
No.
ruled that out.
I don't think I did.
Oh. Confirm or deny? Luke,
Luke?
did we ask about rhythm games?
No, that was not asked.
Okay.
Okay.
I
so
mean-
It's a rhythm game.
I'll give you a
That's-
hint. It's not a rhythm game.
Okay, that was a freebie. Cool.
that's a reverse of a hint. It just makes it more difficult.
I am so lost. This is wild.
Does this game have online connectivity?
No.
Also, local
okay.
multiplayer only. Okay. That's even worse.
I don't care. Let's just burn it.
I can't even think of any other genres.
No,
My brain
I
is like.
But I can't even think of a game that's within that.
Like,
Because all I'm thinking of are like fighting games or
Do we
random
know
party
if it-
games.
have we asked about if it's an RPG? Has
Yeah.
that been asked?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Asked
I'll ask
RPG.
that.
How? Okay, this is not like obviously we don't have a question. I just want to know: do you think, Luke, that we collectively have heard of this game? Like we will know this.
I think so.
Okay.
Sounds like Super Mario Galaxy.
Every game that I think that I can
Just
think of is either a Nintendo game or like a licensed game, or like something that very clearly fits within all the genre, the 48 genres we've listed.
Yeah, that's my point. That's what I'm stuck on.
This
as
is why
well.
we don't focus on genres. They're useless to us.
Yeah, it was real bad.
But we didn't even focus on series or anything like that because we couldn't even get close to.
Yeah, like it
that.
just we had nothing. Anyway, I'm happy to give up.
My-
This is like a
My
Go.
guess is Fishing Resort. There was a game called Fishing Resort.
sure.
All right, is it Fishing Resort? We don't have anything else, you know?
If this is fishing resort, I was going to point out that it's wild.
Like the third clutch grab in a row. No. No, this is not Fishing Resort.
Okay.
Released in November 2010. Strangely enough, released on my birthday. This is a simulation game where players were required to insert the Wii Remote inside a stuffed baby in order to play Babysitting Mama.
I actually, yeah, okay. I may have like vaguely heard of this game.
There
So
was
when
the-
it at
there's the
retail, the
GIF
box.
meme of like Jeff
Yeah.
Gersman or someone like having the baby and then just like shaking it or whatever.
Yeah,
If
wow.
you-
I would have been working at JB when this came out. I do not remember this at all.
When you got the game, the cardboard box it came in was a replica crib, and the game would require you to place the Wii Remote in the baby and then place it down in the crib for one of the actions. And if you shook the baby too much, the game would lock up and tell you not to shake the baby. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But notably, you can play other games with the Wii controller in the baby, which may require you to shake the baby. So
Yeah.
Notably,
It's,
there are
um,
also other games.
there are other
but
games. Yeah.
it is the third spin-off entry in the Mama series after Cooking Mama, Gardening Mama, and Crafting Mama. So that's why when you said it's a part of a series, I was thinking, well, technically no, because there's only ever been one Babysitting Mama. But the
I would
Mama
say it's part of the
series-
series.
Yeah, it's a
That's
fair.
what I
of a-
was like.
Franchise rather than part of a series, but I think we're just going to use
Yeah.
those two interchangeably
Yeah.
regardless.
I'm not mad about
All
it.
right. Well, that about wraps up this episode of the Vookcast. We'll see you in a week because there's another one coming. Be sure to visit the site vooks.au for all your Nintendo news, reviews, and everything in between. To keep up to date, follow us out on Blue Sky at vooks.net or jump on over to our Discord at bit.ly/vooksdiscord or just download the Nintendo Today app because that will just give you all of the information.
Maybe.
you need.
That'll maybe
Well,
give you the
maybe.
information.
We'll try to
It'll
get
give
the
you some
Vooks-
videos.
We'll try to get the Vookcast on the Nintendo app. How's that?
Yeah, that's. We'll reach out to Nintendo, see what happens. All right, I'll give you this, Nintendo. If you put the Vookcast in the Nintendo app, we will cut it out the part where I said that I have a Switch to. You know?
Fair.
So
I
now,
think that's a
you're
fair trade.
blackmailing Nintendo.
That is
Okay.
a 100% equal value trade, quite frankly.
All right. You can find all of our social information and links for all the stories covered in this episode in the episode notes on whatever platform you're listening to. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you in the next show, which again will be in a week.